HebrewWay.com, high-quality custom Israelite apparel store. The place to find scripture-based attire for men, women, and children of all ages. We have a wide range of t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, caps, beanies, and bags, available in a full range of sizes. Also, the ideal place to find Israelite gifts for family and friends. HebrewWay.com is geared toward awakening men and women and especially the youth worldwide. Try our uniquely crafted collection with free shipping on eligible items. Help spread the word of the Most High. Visit us at HebrewWay.com. That's HebrewWay.com. Shalom.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Gather yourself together with Fringes. Fringes is a new social networking app for the community. Are you looking to study, teach, cook, play, sew, and travel? Perhaps you're new to the area and are tired of spending Sabbaths alone? Are you looking for a place to post your events, products, and services? Rejoice! Fringes is here. Download free today. Available on Google Play and the App Store.
Well, look, I also want to tell the brothers that I've been on YouTube. My name is Unity Ghost on YouTube, and I've been tearing down false doctrine. It's my favorite thing to do. I'm going to start off in Circle 7 Quran, where it says, these holy and divine laws. This right here is in chapter 47, verse 12. It says, these holy and divine laws are from the prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are strictly preserved for the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. Now, right here, I'm going to definitely prove it. The topic is, are Moors and Hebrews the same? Now, of course, we have a lot of our brothers and sisters who are Hebrews that, just consider themselves Moors, but what I'm going to deal with is the doctrine in itself and show how the doctrine is false. Now, right here, if we go to the 46th chapter, because we know that Noble Drew Ali's laws are contrary and are not the same as the laws of the Almighty, and I'm going to go to the 46th chapter to prove that. 46, and right here in the 7th verse, it says, through the 10 commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. Now, that's just automatically, that's just false. How the 10 Commandments, where it says, honor your mother, not to steal, not to covet your neighbor's things. How is this supposed to be against the poor? But not only that, I'm going to show many different things that are contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Almighty. You go to Deuteronomy 16 and 21, it says, and I'll turn there real quick, and it says, thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near unto the altar of Yah thy Elohim, where thou shalt make thee. Neither shalt thou set up any image which Yah thy Elohim hateth. So right here, it says don't plant a grove. Now, we know during Christ's time, which is talking about in Circle 7 Quran, the Almighty's temple was set up. But we hear all these groves that they're worshiping at in the Circle 7 Quran. And you go to the 2nd chapter, the 9th verse, in which I'll read, the 9th verse. It says, Elihu and Salome took Mary and Elizabeth out to the sacred grove thereby, where they were wont to teach. So they're not only going to groves, which is against the commandment, but they're going to teach. You're going to teach at these groves. It also says something about the sacred grove in chapter 3, verse 1, where it says, again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man live unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords, and every other living thing. Now, also, I do have a blog talk radio program called Fishers and Hunters. That's one word, so blogtalkradio.com/Fishers and Hunters, where I go all through the Circle 7 Quran. So I know I won't have enough time to show all the lies and deceit in this book. We also see Christ in the Circle 7 Quran is saying that the Almighty does not have a temple. That's in chapter 10, verse 11. Now, we know during Christ's time, we can see when he was 12 years old, he was in the temple talking to the doctors and things of that nature when he ran away. And that's something else in the Circle 7 Quran. The Circle 7 Quran, it said that Christ ran away for 2 days. But in the scriptures, you go to Luke 2:41, he ran away for 3 days. I mean, that's a minor thing. But let me read where Christ said that the Almighty does not have a temple. And that's in chapter 10, verse 11. A lawyer said, I pray to Jay, and I don't say the names of false gods, and Christ is a false Elohim. Tell who is this Allah you speak about? Where are his priests, his temples and shrines? And Christ said, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls, nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. But not only that, but Christ, he does not honor the Almighty's temple that's in Jerusalem, that in Matthew 21, where he came in and drove out all the people that was doing wrong. But he doesn't honor that in this Circle 7 Quran. But not only that, he honors the temple of the sun. You go to the 17th chapter of the Circle 7 Quran, the 17th chapter, and you go to the 33rd verse, and it says, when Christ stood, I ain't gonna say Jesus, because according to Exodus 23:13, and our people have made him a false deity, so I'm not gonna say his name, stood upon the sacred pillars of the master, and stood and said, all hail, the great bells of the temples rang, and all the temple was ablaze with light. And Jay said, all honor to the masters of the temple of the sun. Now, of course, if we talk about how Hebrews, okay, we got 2 minutes. Now, of course, if asking the question, is Hebrews and Moors the same? We see right here Christ talking about the sun. Not only that, he talks about the sweet offerings to the sun. I don't have enough time to tell you all the stuff that Christ taught. He talks about how the sun is the most noblest of the images in chapter 35 and 2. But like I said, one thing I want to stress, because I only got 2 more minutes, so I'm gonna run through some things real quick. Christ also says sacrificing is wrong, which is a lie. He also said Christ says in chapter 10, verse 9, how dare you kill anything? Okay, and then Christ talks about this belongs to this brotherhood. But let me go. It's according to and I'm gonna show you a couple things that are wrong in the Circle 7 Quran. In chapter 17 and 25, it says Christ came for all of mankind. Now we know that a lot of our Messianic brothers who believe in the New Testament is going to tell you Christ came for Israel and Israel only. But in the Circle 7 Quran, Christ came for all mankind. And also in chapter 46 and 2, it said that JC was of the bloodline of the Moabite. He wasn't an Israelite. He was of the Moabite. Oh, and then it also says that 3 people walked on water. That Simon bared that Christ crossed the Calvary. Christ didn't bear it, but Simon did, and many other things in this Circle 7 Quran that I won't have time to get to until I'm able to talk again. Where he talks about how Christ is part of this silent brotherhood, which I never read about in the Almighty's Word. How it always refers to Christ as Emmanuel, and I know my brother. I hope the Hebrew brother don't think that Emmanuel is JC. We don't have to go there and talk about how Emmanuel has nothing to do with Christ. But of course, in the Circle 7 Quran, it's going to call Emmanuel JC. But it's so many different, and it says that in chapter 2, verse 13. Okay, and the brother pointed out how if you and I'm gonna say this real quick. I know I got a little bit of time.
Islam. If you go to chapter 45 of the Holy Quran, Circle 7 Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, Prophet Noble Ali says, the key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The Moorish, who were ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. The Egyptians, who were the Hammatites and are of direct descendant of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese, the Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites of the land of Canaan. The Asiatic nations of North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans and the Mexicans of North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans of South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and the natives of San Salvador and Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founding of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God Allah. Now, if we go to chapter 47 of the same literature, it says, The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites of the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father, Ham, and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the father and the son. The dominion of Cush, northeast, southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. So my whole thing tonight, brothers and sisters, is, I'm not here to attack doctrine. I come to show and prove, and it's simple as that. So I'm going to show and prove tonight those statements right there by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that we are descendants of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Moabites. I'm going to show and prove that what he taught was right and exact. I'm not here to bash our brothers, because the whole purpose of this topic, the reason why I asked Brother Sal to bring this topic to the forefront, is because I want to unify our people. See, what happens is we get caught up in our belief systems. We get caught up in our different dogmatic points of view, and trying to defend and honor our master teachers, we thus further the cycle of disunity that already exists within our community. So I'm going to show tonight through the Bible, the same book, ironically, the same book that they are using right now to try to defame the prophet and his teachings. I'm going to show and prove in their book how we are of the same bloodline. As a matter of fact, if you go into the Bible and you go to the verse right now, if you go to Genesis chapter 16, and I'll try to be as quick as possible because I know time is running out. Genesis chapter 16, please get there if you have a Bible in front of you, and I'm reading from the King James Version. The first three verses says, Now Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare unto him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. And Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, who quickly, these Hebrews will say that Egyptians are not our ancestors as well, but you see here it says, and Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. This, ladies and gentlemen, is referring to Ishmael. Ishmael, in case for those who don't know, was the firstborn son of Abraham, who is being referred to as Abram here. He later on changed his name to Abraham. Ishmael being his firstborn son, this was prophesied by the great God Allah, who is the same as the God of the Hebrews, who they call El, or some call Yahweh. This seed of Ishmael, he became the firstborn son, and he was promised to be blessed into a great nation. I will also later on give you the proof of this in the Bible. The Moabites, if we go into these people, who we are claiming also are our lineage, if you go to Genesis chapter 19, verses 30 through 38, it says, And Lot went up out of Zoar, and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that he may preserve the seed of our father. If you go down to verse 35, and they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot by the children by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. So you see there, Moabites Moab was the son of Lot, and therefore Lot, we know Lot is the nephew of Abraham, and he was the son of Haran. Haran is the brother of Abraham. So therefore, again, I showed you in the Bible, this is, by the way, King James Version again, we see that the bloodline is therefore established. The Canaanites, the Egyptian bloodline I gave you the evidence of through Ishmael, being his mother was an Egyptian herself. And we see also through Moab, who was the son of Lot, and the nephew, not Lot, who was the nephew of Abraham. So we see, therefore, there's a connection between the Israelites and the Moabites, who are now today called the Moorish Americans here in this part of the world. So we must understand, we're not trying to get caught up in our ideologies. I'm not here to debate ideology or religion, therefore. I'm here to show and prove how we are the same people, and we need not to be arguing. We need not to be fighting one another. However, we should be working as far as building together and linking those bridges to our ancestors so that way we can teach our people and move forward.
Yeah, again, I want to give all praises first and foremost to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Just before I even really get into it, I had no idea that anybody was going to come in here with any malicious intentions. I was under the total pretense that this was just a building process so we could, bridge gaps and show the similarities that we do have, as Moors and Israelites. At the end of the day, the Moorish brother, he pointed out the dogmatic things. Regardless of any type of so-called religious belief, we can agree that Moors and Israelites are the same people, by lineage. And that's the key thing here. Recently I had a conversation with Lord Abba and a few other brothers, and the topic of myself and Lord Abba debating came up, and I said, well, what are me and Lord Abba going to debate about? Because at the end of the day, the majority of the things, the majority of the larger concepts, we're going to agree on. We may take different routes to get to the same location, but at the end of the day, we're going to agree on it, and anything else is going to be too trivial to really debate. And that's the thing about the Moors and the Israelites that we have to realize. There is certain, I guess I'm starting to see there are certain people that identify themselves as Hebrew Israelites who, have it out for the Moors, but you got to understand we are the same people, and it's evident. And we have to stop sitting here and sectioning each other off religiously as opposed to, due to nationality. Our ancient nationality and lineage all goes back to the same place, regardless of our religious belief system. Okay? And just to the guy who went first, that's just on this rampage and this rant against many things, against Messianic Israelites and as well as against the Moors, just to show the lack of knowledge that he possesses. He keeps saying the Elohim, which is a contradiction and grammatically erroneous. Elohim is a plural word. The insinuates singularity. How are you trying to make a plural word singular? That's ridiculous. Okay, I just want to point that out there. But let me get into, I'm going to hit a couple scriptures regarding the unity between the Moors and the Israelites. Romans 13 and 11. And that, knowing the time, that it is now high time to wake up out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believed. Okay, and this is the key message to the majority of Israelites and the Moors, that we know that it is high time that we wake the hell up out of this coma that we've been in, especially in the hells of North, Central, and South America, and realize that our salvation is near and that we need to claim our salvation. Now, we can differ on the methodology in which we could obtain salvation, but either way, we could all agree that salvation is necessary and it is obtainable. Okay, let's go to Zechariah, the 12th chapter, the 7th verse. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first. This is something we could all agree on. The tents of Judah being saved. That the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah, letting you know that, of course, in the scriptures that Judah is the chief, the rulers of the nation of Israel. And that's something that we definitely can both agree on as Israelites and Moors, the importance of Judah. And the messianic lineage of Judah and things of that nature. Other than that, I don't have too much more to say, so we could pass it to the next brother. I hope that I could further build with the Moorish brothers based off the few statements that I did give. Shalom.
And shalom. Honors. I'm going to address some of the things that the first brother, I believe his name was Nathan or Nathaniel, said when he came on regarding the doctrine, and I believe the brother Guerrilla Hebrew elucidated my own personal feeling, because I tell people all the time that the Hebrew Israelites and the Moorish Americans of the Moorish Science Temple of America have so much in common if we could get past the yelling and the screaming, et cetera, et cetera. So first, I want to touch on some of the things that the brother said. He said that, I can't call the scripture because I didn't catch it, but he mentioned something to the fact that Yahweh said, do not plant any groves or something to that nature. But in Genesis 21:33, it says, Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there the name of God. So either you are saying that what you have is a contradiction, or you're using one thing just to make a point against another. And I'm not going to deal with the point that it may be a contradiction. I'm going to deal with the fact that you said one thing, and because Elihu is teaching, Elihu and Elizabeth is teaching Salome and Mary in a sacred grove. I mean, it was just a sacred grove. Genesis 21:33, Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there the name of God. When the brother speaks about the temple of the sun, if you read the text fully, what is being relayed is that these are the many different people that Prophet Jesus, and if you want to use the name Yahshua or Yahushua, we say Isa, he was going throughout the East, traveling to distant lands and learning all of the wisdom of all of the sages of many different religions and many different backgrounds. The brother read the book, and it's obvious, but one of the things that he fails to mention is that all throughout the text, Prophet Jesus is called the Jewish sage or the Jewish boy or the Hebrew boy. My Jewish master, what is truth? Baratha asks him. So, to pick one thing out without giving you the full context is really, really deceptive, and you can't use your book just to say that another book is false. I don't understand that. And when he says that because they're in the temple of the sun, they're giving reverence to the sun, and we have a chapter, which is chapter 35, where we're giving reverence to the sun. Let me read what it says so that the listening audience can be clear. This is chapter 35, the chapter on religion. It says, the sun is not Allah, though his noblest image. He enlighteneth the world with his brightness. His warmth giveth life to the products of the earth. Admire him as the creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. So we have to stop with petty deceptions. Let's deal with the full context of what is being said here. I'm not going to take somebody's words out of context just to demean them. This is called logical fallacies. And real intellectuals, they spot these logical fallacies right off the bat. Now, he said that Jesus wasn't in the bloodline of Moab. Well, Ruth was a Moabitess, and she represents the matriarchal blood lineage of Prophet Jesus. So it is impossible for you to look at Ruth's lineage and then come and say Prophet Jesus has no relation to Ruth the Moabitess, and you're into that scripture much deeper than I am. So we have to stop these things. It's unbecoming of us, and there are several scriptures in the Bible that speaks to these type of things. Do not circulate a false report. I cannot call the scripture right now, but I just put that up in the response that I did to ISUPK. We have to bear witness to the fact that we're all connected. We're all related. We are the descendants of ancient Canaan. Isaiah 19:18 says, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to the Lord of hosts and shall be called the city of destruction, et cetera, et cetera. So, even with that, and I'll ride out with this, what is the Hebrew language? The Hebrew language is a Canaanite tongue, a Canaanite dialect. Where does this Hebrew language come from? Because many people do not know. The Hebrew language comes from the Moabite dialect called Mudar. And from the Mudar sprung the Hebrew, the Aramaic, the Assyrian, and I think I'm saying that right, and the form of Arabic that we have today. You cannot separate us, no matter how much you try. And I know that we are the same because when I look at you, I see myself. And with that, I'll yield the rest of my time.
All right, guys. Once again, this is Debate Talk for You Radio. The number is 646-716-7320. All right, guys. So before I open up the phone lines for my special guests to dialogue and converse amongst each other, what I'm going to do is I'm getting a lot of emails right now at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. And for those that are unaware of the email and you want to interact with me, once again, the email is debatetalk4 and the letter u@gmail.com. Khalil, as a matter of fact, this for people that's not familiar with the Moors, can you briefly explain to the people out there what is a Moor? And I'm opening up the phone line right about now, just to give some clarity so people can understand. Go ahead.
It's on.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, it's on, brother. Okay. So just to get a quick, clear understanding of what a Moor is, I direct you to, if you go to onlineetymology.com, so you can get the etymology of the word Moor. And if you look it up, it says Moor is a noun, a North African Berber, late 14th century, from Old French Moor, from medieval Latin Moris, from Latin Morus, inhabitant of Mauritania, which is Northwest Africa, a region now corresponding to northern Algeria and Morocco, from the Greek Moris, perhaps a native name or else cognate with Morus, black, but this is an adjective and only appears in late Greek and may as well be from the people's name as a reverse. Being a dark people in relation to Europeans, their name in the Middle Ages was synonymous for Negro, later 16th century, 17th century, used indiscriminately of Muslims, Persians, Arabs, etc., but especially those in India. So, again, we see here clearly the word Moor is denoting a people who are of dark hue. Does not mean black. I want to make an emphasis on that because you see it says perhaps a native name or else cognate with Moros, black, but this adjective only appears in the late Greek. So basically you're dealing with the Hellenistic period is when it became synonymous with the adjective black. But before that, the word existed, and it just basically refers to people who are of darker hue compared to, obviously, Europeans. Now, excuse me, we find the early name of, well, excuse me, one second, I'm going to read you from here. Pardon, lost my place over here with my information. Okay, so yeah, we see the early name for the word Moor in reference to the Greeks called Ethiopians is mentioned in ancient records of the Chaldeans or the Babylonians under the name Maruk. And you can find that information in a book called The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, and that's written by Drusilla Dungy Houston on page, I believe, page 127. The Hindus, they also refer to our ancient forefathers by the name Meru, M-E-R-U. And the Greeks knew our ancient ancestors as Meropes. The Egyptians referred to them as the Ta-Meru. And you could find that you could find that in the Medu Neter, and they give that information in a book called An Ancient Hieroglyphic Dictionary, Volume 2, with an index of English words, king lists and geographical lists with indexes, list of hieroglyphic characters, Coptic and Semitic alphabets on page 1045, and that's by a scholar named E.A. Wallace Budge, who he translated the Medu Neter and broke it down. So he actually saw the word Moor. Ta-Meru is the word. Ta refers to land. Meru is the name of the people. The A-U is plural, so it just denotes plurality. So it literally transliterates as Ta-Meru, land of the Moors. So that's the etymology. We see that's basically the oldest name. I would challenge anyone out there to find a name for us as a people or as a quote-unquote race that is older than any of these words going back to the etymology of the word Moor. I'd be hard-pressed to find a word that is older than this. So a lot of the words that we have taken on, such as Negroes, blacks, coloreds, a lot of these titles have basically come to us within the last 400 or 500 years and basically allude to slavery. They are titles that began to be placed on, or marks, I should say, that began to be placed on us during the period of the transatlantic slave trade. So that's just the basic breakdown of the history of the word more and the etymology.
All right, thanks for that information and knowledge. And Lord Abba, for those who don't know, who are unaware, as far as Prophet Noble Drew Ali, can you break down some information on Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Go ahead.
Yes. Noble Drew Ali. Ooh, man. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came in 1913. He went to Newark, New Jersey, wearing a flaming red fez, and he would stand on a corner all by himself, teaching and preaching to the people about their true identity. Eventually, he started to gain some listeners, because he started telling them, you are not Negroes, you are not black people, you are not colored folks, you are not Ethiopians, but that you are Moors. People started to take, what he was saying a little serious, like, we're not Negroes. That's all they knew. Just like today, you can't tell our people that they're not black. Negro and black is the same exact word, two different languages. And he gathered a pretty large following in Newark, New Jersey, about 900 people. Then you had people that came over from the Middle East saying that he wasn't teaching the proper form of Islam, and it caused dissension in that temple that he formed called the Canaanite Temple. And this led him to go to Chicago. And in between the years of 1925 and 1929, this man did some of the most amazing work with our people. He asks and answers the question in the 101s. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? Answer, by teaching them to be themselves. He took a people that couldn't read or write and instilled with them these hidden lessons that were being used. These were the lessons that were used in books like the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. This is why Noble Drew Ali took it. He said these lessons were held back by the Muslims of India, Palestine, and Egypt until the appointed time when Allah loosened the keys. And basically that I am now handing you these lessons that all of these different fraternities, you look at the Kabbalah, this information wasn't widely known like we have it now. You look at Freemasonry, you can find the Freemasonic rituals online. In fact, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ at that time was only given to a certain group of individuals. Noble Drew Ali went and took these things and said, this is your stuff. And I'm going to give you the true history about who you are. The Canaanites, the Cushites, the Hamathites, the Hagarenes, all of these different people. With that, he understood the civic engine of this nation, just like Prophet Jesus of 2,000 years ago. And he implored our people to proclaim their nationality, because without a nation, without a national name, we would be subject to all the abuses that the normal, regular citizens care to bestow upon us. And he demonstrated this. Anybody that has a Black's Law Dictionary will see that in the definition of nationality, it says nationality is determined by one's political status. You cannot get out of the fire without going through the fire. And this is one of the things that Noble Drew Ali was letting us know. And between that time of 1925 and 1929, the things that this man did for our people was amazing. One more quick point, and I mentioned this in the ISUPK rebuttal video. In the convention picture, there's a sister standing next to Prophet Noble Drew Ali. She's two people down, and she's standing up. She has on an apron. On the apron is Genesis 49:10. It says, the scepter of Judah the scepter shall not depart from Judah, neither a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes and gathers the people. So while he has the people gathered there, this is what is written on this sister's apron, letting the world know that Shiloh has in fact returned. And until we gain, and this is to my Hebrew Israelite brothers, until we stop looking at that form of Mohammedan Islam and you look at Islam the way we Moorish Americans practice it, then you will gain an understanding. Then you will start to quell your hate for Islam. Who are Arabs? We are the original Arabs. This is just the historically documented fact. They usurped his name. And I just want to build with you, brothers, over this next year so that, we can clarify some things. Peace.
Thanks a lot once again for that information, my brother. All right, so once again, before I open up the phone lines for my special guest to have this discussion again and dialogue, this for edification purposes. I got to go to my Israelite brothers as well. We may have some people out here that never heard of an Israelite, so we got to go to my Israelite brothers. Let me go to Nathan right now and break down for the people out there what is an Israelite.
Oh, brother, I'd rather let the Guerrilla Hebrew deal with that. Of course, the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob had 12 tribes, and the descendants of them 12 tribes are the tribes of Israel, of course. But I would rather the brother deal with that particular thing because, and in fact, I'll let you guys know. One thing, I warned everybody. I warned the brothers when he told me to come on the show what I'm exactly going to be dealing with. That's what I deal with. I deal with false doctrine. I always deal with that. I don't deal with anything else. If you just check out my show, I don't. So I just want to let you know, you can give it to the Guerrilla Hebrew. I bet you the brother can break it down real good. And like I said, brother, it's nothing personal. All the brothers, it's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know none of y'all personally. It's just doctrine. You know what I mean? Like a Jew. I tell a Jew, if you denounce the Talmud and the Kabbalah, which is witchcraft and wickedness, then we can be good. But they're not going to denounce that. It's like if people are going to denounce these false books. But here you go, brother. I don't want to deal with that too much and let the other brother deal with that.
All right, so let's go to Guerrilla Hebrew. For the people out there, once again, what is an Israelite? Break it down.
Yeah, a Hebrew Israelite is the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in particular, and his various 12 tribes, as the brother alluded to and spoke on. We believe that the primary identity of the Hebrew Israelites in this day and age are the Negro, West Indian, Haitian, Latino, and Native American, predominantly found in North, Central, and South America, but also other groups of people scattered abroad, so you can understand.
And what is the most important thing that people need to know about an Israelite, briefly?
The most important thing that people need to know about an Israelite is, if you are one of the aforementioned nationalities, that you are an Israelite and that your job as an Israelite is to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, to the best of your ability, and for you to get out here and learn this knowledge and teach this knowledge to your brethren to hasten the day of our salvation.
All right, guys, so I'm about to open up the phone lines right about now. Once again, I see people that press the number 1 for the public Q&A. That's where you, the listening audience, will call in with your questions and your comments. I see we have a lot of people that press the number 1 already in advance. But once again, when we go to the people later on, I want to hear from you guys. Once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. But right about now, we're going to have my special guests converse amongst each other. And, we're actually going to start off with, I'm opening up the phone lines right now. Let me open up everybody's line. Hold on. Once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Let me open up everybody's phone line. Hold on. And let's start off with Brother Nathan. Brother Nathan, go ahead, man. You can start the conversation. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing I want to definitely say is that I heard the brother talk about the Quran, and the Quran, basically, you can eat anything. You can eat a cat, dog, a gerbil. You can beat your wife, and you wash up with dirt. It's a whole bunch of stuff in the Quran. So I don't deal with the Quran either. I want to make that clear. But when the brother was talking about the Elohim, of course, Elohim is like the word sheep. It can be singular or plural. The brother was talking about the law, statutes, and commandments. He was just talking about the law, statutes, and commandments, right? But in the Circle 7 Quran, it says through the 10 Commandments, I'm going to quote this verbatim. This is chapter 46 and 7. It says, through the 10 Commandments, the rulers and the rich live while the poor suffer and die. Now, the 10 Commandments are something the Almighty wrote with its own fingers. And we got, in the more science temple, this slander against the Almighty's laws. So this is not something that we can just sweep up under the rug, okay?
Can I respond to that?
You got it, brother. Go ahead.
Islam. Okay. We all have doctrines, and every culture has a doctrine, and in this doctrine, within that culture, it is taught that the Almighty himself gave them this doctrine. The truth of the matter is that men are the authors of the doctrine because Allah, Jehovah, Theos, Ogun, Obatala, these spiritual entities reside in man. We call it the higher self. So now, let's address the topic of, through the Ten Commandments, the rulers and the rich live while the poor suffer and die. Well, the very first thing that Moses does when he comes off of the mountain is kill 3,000 people. It says, thou shalt not kill. I'm not sure if that was the first commandment, so forgive me. But it said right in the commandments, thou shalt not kill. But the very first thing he does when he comes off of the mountain is kill 3,000 people. When you look at the book of Joshua, Joshua goes throughout the land of Canaan. And Noble Drew Ali touches on this. He teaches us that Joshua were the ones that ran out our ancestry from the land of Canaan. So if you write a doctrine, right, and I want to prove this to you real quick, because these things are important, and because I feel like my Hebrew Israelite brothers have the key in the biblical regard. And this is my opinion. In my opinion, they are taking the usurpers' words literal, who switched up certain things within the text. Let's go to the Babylonian Talmud. According to scholars, the Babylonian Talmud is more historically accurate than what's known as the Jewish Talmud. Now, this is not my opinion. This is according to scholars. Anybody in the listening audience can look this up. It says this: the rabbis taught on the 24th of Nisan, the contractors of duty were taken off from Judah and Jerusalem. This was when the Africans summoned Israel before Alexander of Macedonia, claiming that the land of Canaan belonged to them. As it reads, the land of Canaan according to its boundaries. That's Numbers, I think that's 36:2 it has there. And it says, is that they, meaning these Africans, were the descendants of Canaan. It says, said Gibeah be preciser to the sages. Permit me, and I will speak before Alexander as an advocate of the defendant of Israel. And if they defeat me, say to them, you have defeated an ignoramus among us. And if I defeat them, say to them, the law of Moses has defeated you. He got this permission and did so. Then he said to them, what is your evidence? And there, meaning the Africans' answer was, from your Torah, the same Torah you brothers are using today. Then he said, meaning to be a preciser, on behalf of those Israelites. And I separate those Israelites from us Israelites. I, in defense, will also bring my evidence from the same. It reads, and he said, cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Now, to whom belongs the estate of a slave, if not to his master? And not only this, but I summon you before the king, for the many years you have not done any service for us. And Alexander commanded them to give answer, for which they requested from him 3 days' time, and he gave it to them. And as they could not find any right answer at the appointed time, they fled, leaving their fields which were sown and their vineyards which were planted. And this year was a sabbatical one. The source of this, the Babylonian Talmud, translated by Michael L. Rodkinson, translated in 1918. Now, Noble Drew Ali speaks about the Canaanites coming into Africa. The chief tool that the Europeans were using to conquer our people was the Bible, which had these very laws in it that you speak, beloved. They spread that form of religion by the sword for real, not like Islam. Islam spread peacefully, and then despots, like all things, took over. No, Christianity at its inception, they were in league with those people whom I just read about. I call them Joshuaites, descendants of Joshua. These were the people that went into the land slaying our people using these laws. In the Christian chronicles of the 17 and 1800s, we find texts, and if I get the time, I'll pull them up, where these Christians that know is citing Genesis 25, Genesis 9:25 through 27 as proof and the reason why they took the Moors and enslaved them. So this is what Noble Drew Ali means. By the Ten Commandments, the rulers and the rich live while the poor suffer and die.
Islam. Can I say something as well?
Let me bring Nathan back in. Let me bring Nathan back in, and after
all right, well, basically, I want to say,
go ahead.
You should never talk about. You should never. Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. We hear you.
Oh, okay. Y'all should never talk about the Talmud. The Talmud says you can have sex with a 3-year-old boy, baby. Okay. The Talmud says a whole bunch of garbage. The Talmud is lies and deceit and wickedness. It is the lowest. They talk about bestiality in the Talmud. Regardless,
that's right.
Talk about the Talmud says that the day starts in the night, which most people believe. The Talmud says a whole bunch of garbage. So is that the
Babylonian Talmud? I just want to be clear, because there's two Talmuds. I just need you to be clear. I want to interrupt you. Both?
The Babylonian Talmud says the Babylonian Talmud agrees with the curse of Ham, that people are cursed. That's why we in captivity, because of Ham and all that garbage. Okay, so and you know what I mean. So it's garbage. First of all, you should never try to use the Talmud for anything. That's for the kikes. Leave that for them rabbis. We don't even. So that's one thing I want to say. And right here, it's obviously. There's a whole bunch of things in this book that go against what the Almighty said. It will tell you to hold a grudge. In chapter 41 and 11 and 12, and you were talking about murdering, right? It's a definite difference between killing and murdering. Now, we're talking about a war. Now, if you read the book of Numbers, it will basically break down the book of Numbers. I think it's verse 35, chapter 35, where it talks about the difference between killing and murdering. We're not talking about in wars. War is not, and when it says thou shalt not kill, it really means thou shalt not murder. I mean, come on now. You have to really have an understanding when you get in with these scriptures. But it's a whole bunch of things. So when we talk about and I also want to address a couple of brothers, because obviously I've got a difference between with the New Testament, the people that believe the day starts at night, they believe the Sabbath day starts when the night starts, when day and night don't start at the same time, and then we got Hebrews that believe that they're supposed to keep the Passover here, and so they slay the Passover. No, the Almighty said you're only supposed to do that in the place where He chooses. So, and the thing about it, I know you brothers want a feel good session. I'm talking fast. I don't know how much time I got. I know you brothers want a feel good session, but as long as you got these things where it's all these blatant lies, it will never be, we can just come together and all this type of stuff when we got these lies in this book. And right here, and that's what it said. It said the poor suffering down. The Almighty told you to give to the poor. It's so many scriptures to prove that the Almighty's ways is not going to tell you to go on a downtrodden to oppress the poor. That's just wrong according to the Almighty's laws and commandments. I mean, so this right here is just wrong. It's like a whole bunch of stuff in this book is just wrong. But I can go on. You're talking about lower self, right? And the thing about the lower self is they said the lower self in the Circle 7 Quran is a demon. But Christ said in the Circle 7 Quran that the lower self is strong within him. If you go to the book of chapter 15 and 3, it says, Christ said that my lower self is strong within me. And then if you go to chapter 13, it will talk about how the lower self is a devil. So I guess the devil is strong within Christ of the Circle 7 Quran. I can deal with a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to this.
Brother, don't hold on.
Let me bring Kyle Ellen. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I want to address before I get to that one. I want to address what he said way at the beginning about. I don't want to quote your exact words, but you said Prophet Jesus doesn't have any Moabite blood. I believe Brother Abba touched on it already when he dealt with Ruth, the Moabitess, but I want to go in a little further because we didn't have that much time earlier. Now we know Ruth was a Moabitess, and she married into the Hebrew family of Elimelech and Naomi. And she met them in Bethlehem, and then she relocated to Moab after the famine. Elimelech and his 2 sons died, leaving Naomi and his 2 daughters-in-law as widows. So when Naomi decided to return to Bethlehem, Ruth finally ended up going with them, despite the fact that Orpah, Naomi's other daughter-in-law, went back home. And Ruth said, and I believe it's Ruth chapter 1, verse 16 through 17, Ruth speaks and says, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. So we see right there, under the will of God, and this is in the Hebrew Bible King James Version, we see that God blessed the union between Ruth, the Moabitess, and the Israelites. So Ruth went glean into the fields, and then she met Boaz. At the instigation of Naomi, she forced Boaz to declare his intentions with her regarding Ruth by slipping into the threshold floor at night, covering his feet, lying at his feet, and you can find that in Ruth chapter 3, verse 8. In the Mosaic tradition of having the nearest relative be the kinsman of the Redeemer, Boaz indicated his desire to marry her and call Ruth a woman of noble character. Now, this is his words. This is Boaz's words, an Israelite speaking about a Moabitess. Now, after overcoming the obstacle of having a relative with a stronger claim, Boaz married Ruth, and they had a son named Obed. And we get the genealogy in the King James Version once again. Ruth chapter 4, verse 17. It says the genealogy in the final chapter of the book explains how Ruth became the great-grandmother of David. Boaz begot Obed, Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David. She is therefore the ancestor of Joseph, who is the husbandman of Mary and would-be father of Jesus, and is one of the 5 women also mentioned in the genealogy of Matthew chapter 1, along with Tamar, Rahab, Bathsheba, and Mary. So therefore, I see the brother was wrong when he said that Jesus does not have any Moabite blood. I saw proof right there with the King James Version Bible. That was not. That's all I want to say about that. Can I weigh in on that? Of course, brother.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is this: there's no denying that who the world ignorantly calls Christ had Moabite blood, but here's the problem, and this is an issue that I see in dealing with Moorish brothers. Is the whole thing is this: when you're dealing with the scriptures, when you go into that Bible, the Bible then becomes the measuring stick to the conversation that you're having. The Bible says that your father determines your nationality. Therefore, though there's a woman that is of Moabitess descent that is somewhere along the ancestral line of who the world ignorantly calls Christ, it's irrelevant because it's not patrilineal, and that is the way the Israelite custom defines and decides who you are.
Brother. Not to cut you off, but brother, notice I didn't
Go ahead, brother.
No, I didn't say Jesus was a Moabite, meaning like he was of the Moabite nation. I'm saying he had Moabite blood in him. So I'm saying there's a blood connection. That's what I was saying.
Well, I'll venture out to say that. I'll venture out to say that Jesus was a Moabite because Jesus was a Moor. And when we say Moor, we are looking at all of our people ethnically as Moors, and Moor and Moab is a synonym. I've chronicled this in my video, the ancient Moabites who are the Moors, historical proof. I've got it all over my Facebook page. I tag all my Hebrew Israelite brothers in it, showing the records of the Christians themselves that call the Moabites the Moors as the people that invaded Europe. So I'll venture out to say that Prophet Jesus was definitely a descendant of the Moabite nation.
Indeed.
He wasn't even a descendant of David. He wasn't even. In fact, in the New Testament, they got 2 different lineages. They got Christ got 2 different grandfathers. He got one grandfather, Jacob, in the book of Matthew chapter 1, and in the book of Luke chapter 3, and he got another. So he's not even a descendant of David. He's not even real. My bad.
Yeah. I think somebody's phone is
sorry, brother. Like I don't know who phone that is, but somebody's breaking up though.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to cut me.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard the last statement, but I'm just saying someone's phone is breaking up.
Yeah, let me see if it's brother Nate. Nate, you hear me loud and clear?
No, can you hear me?
Oh man, I can hear you loud and clear. You just sound loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay. That was somebody else. That's somebody else.
Probably Guerrilla Hebrew then. Guerrilla Hebrew, you there?
You hear me?
Oh yeah, that's you, my brother. Yeah, it's kind of breaking up a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of breaking up a little bit, brother. But
now I want to deal with something real quick, and it was in chapter 9. It was in 9 and 16 where it said, "The sin lies in the wish, in the desire, not in the act." Now, how much sense does that make? I mean, I know. Listen, we're dealing with doctrine because, of course, we want to see if the Moors and the Hebrews are the same. Now, basically, this is saying that the sin is only in the desire, but it's not in actually doing the sin. Now, how much sense does that make? I need some clarification.
Can I clarify that for you, beloved?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What Prophet Jesus is relaying there is that If you think about it, it is a sin. If you look at a man, your next door neighbor's wife, and you're lusting over her in your mind, before you make any move, you are already sinning. But you see, this is why we teach that Allah is the highest self in man.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's what that means, beloved.
Right. Okay, good. But you know what? But it says in the verse 16 of chapter 9, it says the sin is in the wish and in the desire, but not in the act. So that means basically, from your example, you're telling me if I desire my neighbor's wife, that's the sin. But if I actually have sex with her, which is the act, that's not the sin. That's basically what this verse is saying right here.
Not necessarily, because the wish, as a man thinketh, beloved, the wish,
Abba.
you already sinned. When soon as you said, damn, I want to get that. I want that. Knowing that was another man's wife, you've already sinned.
Right, before you do the act.
Yes. Yeah, that's covenant.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
We hear you.
Hebrew. We hear you, brother.
Yeah, my bad. Okay. No, all right. Yeah, go ahead and say what you're going to say. I just want us to win. I just want to make sure that my audio was good.
No doubt.
Okay, well, good. You know, I actually wanted to read something out of Circle 7 that was interesting. We were talking about the Jews, and I wanted to read verse chapter 16. I'm going to read. Superstitious people are the Jews. They have a faith that they have borrowed from the idol worshippers and of other lands, that at the end of every year they may heap up all their sins upon the head of some man set apart to bear their sins. The man becomes a scapegoat for the multitudes. And they believe that when they drive him forth into the wilds or into the foreign lands, they are released from sins. So every spring before the feast, they choose a prisoner from the prisons of the land. And a form of their own, they fain would make him bear their sins away. That's how it reads. Among the Jewish prisoners in Jerusalem were 3 who were leaders of a vile, seditious band, who had engaged in theft and murders and rapine, I don't know, whatever that is, and have been sentenced to be crucified. So right here, basically what it's saying is that, now, right here, I think the Circle 7 is lying. I mean, I don't like the Jews. I know that the Talmud is the most abominable book I've ever read, talking about as long as they're under 9 years old, you can have sex with them. But I don't think the Jews pick somebody and kill a prisoner out of the prison and for their sacrifices for their sins. I think the Circle 7 Quran is actually lying on the Jews right there. This is chapter 16. That's why I want to throw that out there.
Brother, what you got to understand though, again, you can't pick and choose certain pieces of literature and then try to use it to or spin it, I should say, in order to make it sound like what you want it to sound like. Because, you know, again, that's why I said I wasn't going to do that when I came here. I mean, I'm sure Brother Abba, as being a Grand Sheik in the Moorish Science Temple, will absolutely answer that question, but that wasn't my intention. You know, I could do the same thing all day. You know, I could sit here and pick parts of the Bible. Go ahead, brother, no problem.
I want to say, you know, because remember, in fact, I didn't know that Lord Abba and Guerrilla Hebrew was going to be on, but I remember talking to you, and I can remember me telling you exactly what I'm going to deal with. And this is and the thing about it, I don't know if Showtime know, if he know anything about me. Showtime know a little bit about my show. The only thing I deal with is false doctrine. I don't even, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to laws and commandments, I leave my teachers. I leave my teachers to teach the Almighty's laws and commandments. I just deal with shutting down false doctrine. So that's who I am.
I hear you, brother, but at the end of the day, we gotta come to a realization that, you know, at the end of the day, we got the same enemies, we got the same problems. So where are we gonna go from here? Are we gonna continue to debate doctrine, or are we gonna try to find that common ground so that way we can unite? And like I said, I could sit here all day and I could pick parts of the Bible and try to make it sound like I could go to Deuteronomy 13:6-9, and where it says, if your very own brother or your son or daughter or the wife you love or the closest friend secretly entices you, saying, let us go and worship other gods, you know, that neither our fathers are known, people, gods of the people around you, whether near or far, from one end of him, no pity. Do not spare him. Then it goes to do not spare him. Well, hold on, let me finish the verse. Then it says, do not spare him or shield him. You must certainly put him to death. So should I say now, take that verse and run with it and say, oh, let's go around and just start, the Bible says, let's kill everyone? No, like, you understand? Like, that's what I mean. You can't pick.
I wish I could put a death aside of my, you know, something
well,
like that.
No, brother, we don't, you know, my teacher doesn't preach hate. We don't preach the message of hate, but I'm just going to show you how I could pick verses out and try to use it to spin it to my, to make it sound like what I want. But that's not the intention of why I'm here. I'm trying to show and prove the topic, which is, are Moors and Israelites the same?
Yeah.
And when we
real quick,
taking the circle 7 and trying to
hold on. Let me bring Guerrilla Hebrew in real quick. And you heard everybody's perspective of Guerrilla Hebrew. What do you want to say as far as my brother Nathan's perspective? We are Israelites here, so what do you want to break down about that? Go ahead.
What I gotta say is, first and foremost, herein lies the problem. We sit here and we argue too much trivial things as opposed to grand concepts. Everything has to be conceptual here.
Right.
And what we have to understand is, we sitting here arguing. Nathaniel is sitting here talking about the Moors are not the Hebrew, the Moors are not the Hebrews. Listen, at the end of the day, I am under the assumption that everybody on this phone's forefathers were brought to this side of the earth on a cargo slave ship. So you cannot sit here and tell another brother on this phone that we are not the same, because we are. Okay, that is, and that's the thing about the Israelite doctrine. Anybody who is a Hebrew Israelite understands, just as Moors understand, that it has nothing to do with so-called religious doctrine that defines you as being an Israelite or a Moor. It has to do with your lineage. So you cannot keep going in the Circle 7 Quran and telling them that the Moors and the Hebrews are not the same, because even if everything in the Circle 7 Quran contradicted that of the Bible, that does not change anybody's patrilineage on this phone. We have to understand that concept, okay? Now, the whole thing is this, though, and real quick, and another problem in lies that what certain of the Moorish brothers do is use extra biblical information to prove their points, which I don't totally fault them on. But when you start interpolating extra biblical information into the scriptures, their problems arise. The thing with us coming from the Hebrew Israelite perspective is we have a measuring stick, and that measuring stick is the Bible, whether you just into the Torah or just the Old Testament or the whole thing in its totality, like myself. We have that measuring stick. So any information that contradicts what is told to us in that measuring stick, we automatically reject and rule out, because we have that measuring stick. So a measuring stick is important with dealing with information outside of the measuring stick for understanding and soundness of doctrine. But, brothers can respond.
Indeed, and that's exactly why I tend to use the Bible, because I know primarily tonight I'm dealing with, I'm sure, a predominantly Hebrew Israelite audience that's listening in. So being that as it may, we have to understand that they might not accept the information if I was to just take the Holy Quran of Mecca, or if I was to just take the Circle 7 Holy Quran. They might not necessarily accept that information. That's why I went into the Bible and I give verses showing the blood lineage of the Moors and the Israelites. That's the reason why I do that. I'm not trying to, pick and choose the certain parts that fit to my argument. I'm just showing you in the Bible where it can be established that we are of the same bloodline. That's all I'm trying to do.
And the brother addressed me, so I want to say something real quick. Now, basically, I don't have this pick and choose. I got like at least 40 things over here tonight. I know I can't get through all of them, but basically, the brother was talking about. I never said that the Moors were not the Hebrews. That didn't come out of my mouth. I deal with doctrine. Basically, what I'm showing is that the Moor Science Temple, the Circle 7 Moor Science Temple will have you breaking the law, statutes, and commandments of the Almighty Yahweh. The thing about it is, if we got the brothers and sisters here, we know we're supposed to encourage our brothers to do the laws and commandments, to do the statutes and judgments. And in fact, I give you a perfect example. We go to chapter 41 and 11. Go to 41 and 11. I'll turn there real quick to show you that this will have you breaking the laws of the Almighty. 41 and 11, it says, "Suspect not evil in anyone until thou seest it. When thou seest it, forget it not. Whoso hath been an enemy cannot be a friend, for man mendeth not his faults." So right here it's saying that man can't mend his faults. Now, I know the Hebrew brother know about Ezekiel 18. I know he know about Ezekiel 3, where it tells brothers to turn from their wicked ways. But right here it tells you that a man doesn't turn from his wicked ways. I mean, like I was saying before, I showed you many times where we'll have you breaking the Almighty's commandments. It will go against the Almighty's commandments. And if you're a Hebrew Israelite, I don't care what camp you're from. If you find something that will have our brothers and sisters breaking the law, statutes, and commandments, then we're supposed to be against that. We're supposed to tell our people to do the law, statutes, because that's our only salvation. That's our only protection from this heathen.
and from his heat and from anything. So when you find something that's against the laws and commandments, you got to point it out. And that's basically what I'm doing. I never said them brothers are not Hebrew Israelites. I'm not showing it. I'm not going in here showing that. I'm definitely showing how the Circle 7 Quran. And like I said to the brother before, weeks ago, that's what I'm going to be dealing with when we talk about this topic, how the Circle 7 Quran is contrary to the Almighty's laws. And I'm going to show it because the first thing I brought out on this show was that these are Noble Drew Ali's laws. And these laws, they're not Yahweh's laws. And that's basically what I'm bringing out right here. That's what I wanted to say at that point.
And brother, if you go to chapter 30 of the Holy Circle 7 Quran, the first two verses, it says, when thou considerest thy wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and could not enjoy but in the bands of society. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, and it is in thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. So again, that's what I mean. You have to read. What we have to do is, when we deal with doctrine, we have to take it in its totality and not just, again, pick and choose certain parts that fit our argument. So you see, right there, that totally contradicted everything that you just said. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I do want to get back.
Okay.
Yeah, let me bring in Lord Abba. Let me bring in Lord Abba. Yeah, there you go.
Let me just, chapter 8, verse 13 says, 12 and 13, it says, and you must bear in mind that when man harms in thought or word or deed another man, he does a wrong to Allah. If you would serve the Allah who speaks within the heart, just serve your near of kin and those that are of no kin, the strangers at your gate, the foe who seeks to do you harm. Assist the poor and help the weak. Do harm to none and covet not what is not yours. So again, I can go in the Bible, beloved, and do exactly what you just did.
Right.
I can do what you just did. So, like, and I would love, let me say this too, I would love to come on your show. You can write down 40 questions from out of my book and out of my teachings in general. I'll send them all to you, our 101s. You don't know the questionnaire, I'm quite sure, because in the questionnaire it says, why did Allah send Jesus to this earth? Answer, to save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time. Again, y'all notice how I keep coming back to the thing of this topic. So I would love to come on your show. I would answer every one of your questions without spinning, tap dancing, or none of that. Just straight answers.
Can I respond to that? Now, basically, honestly, if I knew you were on the show, I wouldn't have been on the show. I would have had my teacher on the show. It's an honor to be on the show with you. The brother that was talking to me said he wasn't a teacher. I said I wasn't a teacher because if it was a teacher, then I would not be qualified to be up on here doing it. And in fact, if you want to do that, I definitely will get you linked up with my teacher, and he will deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I would love that. But also, I want to say, because you went to chapter 8, I want to go to chapter 8 too, because I want to show you went to verse 12, but I want to go to verse 11 and see how much sense this makes. Right here it says, and when man honors man, and you mentioned this right at the beginning of what you were saying at the beginning of the show. You said when man honors man, he honors the deity, right? Now, basically, so when
say that again. Whoa.
I say the deity. I say the deity. I don't say ALLAH because of Exodus chapter 23, verse 13, which is not to mention the names of false gods. And the deity of the Quran is not the same God of the Old Testament at all.
Wow.
Okay? That's not the dietary law. I can prove that without a shadow of a doubt. You don't want me to get in the Quran. I beat up the Quran.
Can I say something?
Let the Gorilla
you don't want to do that. But I'm going to stick to the topic. We'll do that on another show. We'll do that on another show.
If I could say this about the word Allah, and he won't say the word Allah. The word Allah is a Hebrew word meaning God. So, the fact that you refuse to say it, I mean, it's just a Hebrew basic word, and the Most High God of Israel in the Hebrew text is referred to as that. So, I mean, just to let you know, not saying that the Allah of the Quran is the same, but just saying that don't be too religious with it.
Okay. Well,
right, and that deals with the topic. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead. My fault.
And I want to deal with that because, of course, I want to go to the 10th chapter and the 18th verse, because right here, basically, this is a name. See, right, the thing about it in the scriptures, it's not a name. It's a title. It's a difference between a common noun and a proper noun. We know the difference. The common noun can change within different religions, but a proper noun, like a name, stays the same. Like Yahweh, you can't change it to Jehovah because Yahweh is a name. Okay, so we know the difference between a name.
Correct. That's correct.
So right here, this is a name. This is a name that's not just in the Quran. It's not a title like it is in the Bible. So that's the difference. But basically, I want to finish off verse 11. I want to see how much sense this makes to the listening audience. It says, when a man honors a man, he honors the deity. Now, right there, if a man honors Christ and worships Christ, and we got a lot of Christians that worship Christ, and when they worship in Christ, do they honor the Most High Yahweh? No, not at all. That don't even make no sense. They hate Yahweh. You bring up Yahweh's laws on anything, the dietary law, on homosexuality, a man having more than one, whatever.
Brother, I can't let you get that off, brother.
The Most High, that is just false anyway. Okay.
Don't let him.
If I can, beloved.
I want to go because you talk about names, so I want to go use the Circle 7 Quran. I know I've been reading this book. I've been preparing. It's chapter 10, verse 18. Well, when we talk about names, because y'all want to bring up names. Verse 18. Well, let me see. That was it. Circle 7. In fact,
I gotta let Lord Abba come in. Real quick. Go ahead, Lord Abba.
Let me just respond to what he said real quick, right? Because I want to read it in totality, because the brother just appears to have a penchant of taking a piece of something and feeding it to the people because he wants to make his point. And everybody that's listening on this line, I don't care what your train of thought is, I want you to go and study logical fallacies. Learn what pathos is, learn what ethos is, and learn what logos is, so you could also learn how to spot what people are doing when you're listening to them or when you're reading something. Now, chapter 8, verse 11 says, and when man, matter of fact, let's go up. It says, and Jesus said, the holy breath cannot be seen with mortal eyes, nor can men see the spirits of the Holy One, but in their image man was made. And he who looks into the face of man looks at the image of the Allah who speaks within. And when man honors man, he honors Allah. And what man does for man, he does for Allah. And you must bear in mind that when man harms in thought, remember, the sin lies in the thought, the wish. If man harms in thought, or word or deed another man, he does a wrong to Allah. How can you take that and twist it to other than anything to what you just read? Now, before I gotta make this one more point.
Can I get back in? Oh, I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Let me just make this other point. I want to go to chapter 10 because I see what you're going to try to do, and I want to read.
18.
I want to see. Let me read. Let me just read, beloved. It says this, right? All people. It says a lawyer asked Jesus, who is this Allah you talking about? And Jesus says, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. All people worship Allah the one, but all the people see him not alike. The universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. All men see not the triune Allah. One sees him as a law of might, another as a law of thought, another as a law of love. It all depends on your doctrine. For us, Allah is love. It goes on to say a man's ideals is his God, the things that he thinks, the things that he undertakes in his daily life. A man's ideals is his God, and so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God, because you might be sinful today and righteous tomorrow. It says the nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view, and so he does not seem the same to everyone. Man names the part of Allah that he sees, and this to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah, and every nation has a name for Allah. So you might say Yahweh. Repeat what it says. It says, you Brahmins call him Parabrahm. In Egypt, he is Thoth, and Zeus is his name in Greece. Jehovah is his Hebrew name, but everywhere he is the cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. In our lessons, it says, by what name do we at times refer to the great God of the universe? Allah. This lets us know that Allah and Yahweh and Thoth and all of these are finite titles, beloved, because you cannot put a name on that which is boundless. How can you?
Okay, well, the Almighty does definitely have a name. And we read right here, we see that this right here is a name. They're trying to make the deity a name. And with all these things, you're talking about the Zeus, the Greek Zeus was a pedophile. He was, you know what I'm saying? And this called Jehovah is his Hebrew name.
Nothing to do with the context of what I read.
There wasn't no J in the Hebrew name, in the Hebrew language. Why would it say Jehovah is the Hebrew name in here?
Well, because it's a J in the English language now, beloved. It's a J in the English language now.
No, we come to Hey, brother Sal.
Oh my God, brother, God.
Yeah, Islam, I just want to kind of get back into the topic real quick. I just want to give the people out there, a few tidbits of information because I know time is running short. If you go to it's one of my favorite books, one of my favorite authors. It's a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Rudolph Windsor, on page 111. He says in this book, the word Sephardi. Oh, by the way, before I even read that, we must understand the two different main types of Jews. Like you have Ashkenazim Jews, these are the, what we would call the fake Jews, the Europeans who converted into Judaism around during the Middle Ages. And then you have the Sephardic Jews. These are Moors, basically, people of dark olive hue. So when we go back to the book now, From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 111. He says the word Sephardi refers to the Moors, or Israelites, who lived in Portugal and Spain when the Moors ruled the country for 700 years. The term now applies to non-European Israelites who lived in Muslim countries or African Asian countries. It is also another name applied to these same Israelites as Orientals. If you read the Hebrewisms of West Africa, published in 1930 by Joseph Williams, he says that the blacks transported to the Americas as slaves were Israelites. So I would suggest for our people to do is get that book, get some of that literature. Also study the Spanish Inquisition, when King Ferdinand and Isabella finally ousted our Moorish ancestors in Europe and forced us to leave and exiled us from that region. That's around the time when the transatlantic slave trade began. Those people who were coming across on those slave ships, as the Guerrilla Hebrew was talking about, we were Moorish Muslims and Moorish Hebrews on that boat together.
That's right.
You understand? So when we got here, we must understand that we were together. We started our own communities, and of course, throughout time, we lost consciousness of who we were, and we forgot, and we honored not the principles of our forefathers, and that is how we get to this position now. So I'm trying to show you that there are plenty of scholars out there. I wish I had more time, but we spent so much time dealing with nonsense. No disrespect to that, brother, but that's how I feel. I couldn't really get into all the sources that I brought. But anyway, the point is, you see there are plenty of scholars out there who already attest to our true lineage as Moors. Continue, please.
Yeah, hold on one second, Guerrilla Hebrew. I'm going to bring you in a minute, but what I'm going to do, because this is such an interesting conversation, later on, I'm going to give you guys some final statement time, so you can bring out some more information now, give you guys like maybe 10 minutes each to bring out some information that you didn't get a chance to bring out. So, and after this, after Guerrilla Hebrew, I'm going to actually take a 7-minute intermission break, and we're going to go to the people out there. I know the people want to chime in this conversation. You know the number, 646-716-7320. Guerrilla Hebrew, anything you want to say briefly, you can go ahead. Guerrilla Hebrew, you there? Can you hear me? Oh, they got technical difficulty. Kyle, you hear me though?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here, brother. Islam. I'm here.
Oh, okay. I guess it's technical difficulties, Guerrilla Hebrew. All right, so you know what? Let's take the 7-minute intermission break, guys, and we're going to go to the people out there. And I see we pressing the number 1, standing by. Once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Let's press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. And once again, the title of this segment of the show, Are Moors and Israelites the Same? Are Moors and Israelites the same? So we're going to take a 7-minute intermission break, guys. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back after these messages. Stand by. All right, guys, we are back. Once again, this is Debate Talk for You Radio. I'm your host, Sal Showtime, and today's show is entitled, for those that just joined into the show, Are Moors and Israelites the Same? Are Moors and Israelites the same? By the way, this show is archived, so if you missed any part of the show, go to the website, www.blogtalkradio.com/debatetalkforyou. You can even download the show once you click on to this particular discussion. Look below the visual screen, and on the left-hand side, you see a little link that says download. I know I said I was going to go to the people right about now, but I just got word that Khalil actually has to go in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do due to time, I'm going to actually have him give his final statements right now, and I'll give him his 10 minutes, and after that we're going to go to the people to see what they got to say. So let me open up Khalil's phone line, and once again, I appreciate you coming on, my brother, bringing forth the information. Brother, you got 10 minutes.
Indeed. Islam, beloved. Basically what I just wanted to say in departing is that the whole reason I came on this show and what I want people to get out of this lesson tonight is that, again, Moors and Israelites are of the same blood lineage. Going forward, I want us to realize that we're at a point in time in our development and our struggle here in North America, where we need to get past our schools of thought. Now, why were the schools of thought originally founded? It was because they were trying to get us, our master teachers were basically just trying to get us to a point where we were mentally strong enough and healthy enough so that we can think on our own. Okay, it was not for us to stay in these schools of thought and be caught and become dogmatic. That's what is hindering us from moving forward. It is our dogmatic beliefs and our points of view. So what I want us to understand is, at this point, the next question becomes, what are we going to do moving forward? How are we going to become economically viable so that way we can compete in a global economy? What are we going to do to stop the violence within our communities? What are we going to do to raise the level of education within our communities? So with that being said, I want to just give you guys a few more tidbits of information for all the listeners out there to understand it. Again, the Moors and the Hebrew Israelites are one and the same as far as bloodline, as far as our history. We come from the same seed of Abraham, and there's no way anyone can refute that. If you go to look at some of the information from Arab historian Jarid al-Kilwa, he told people that, and I quote, all the events surrounding kings, Saul, David, Rehoboam occurred in Yemen, and no Hebrew remnants were found in Israel. He said most of the Khazars, who are a Turkish tribe that converted to Judaism in the medieval times, are the Ashkenazic Jews who arrived in Palestine. As Allah is my witness, in my blood flows more of the children of Israel and the ancient Hebrews than the blood of Ariel Sharon and Benjamin Netanyahu. So in other words, what he's saying is the original Arabs, who are Moors, the Berbers, those are the real Arabs. And he's saying that the fake Jews are the Ashkenazi Jews. The real Jews, who are our ancestors, are the Sephardic Jews. And the Sephardic Jews and the original Arabs, such as the Dravidians and these other people with the Berbers, those people are genetically connected. Also, if you go and look at some of the DNA research that was carried out by the Hebrew University, Hadassah Medical School, and University College in London, they have shown that many Jews and Arabs are indeed closely related. And again, that also strengthens the biblical proof that I gave at the beginning of the conversation. According to the Bible, the Arabs, again, are descended from Ishmael and are therefore related to the Israelites. According to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Sephardic Jews, again, those are being our ancestors, are of North African origin and are genetically indistinguishable from their brethren in Iraq, obviously referring to the Arabians. Now, we're not talking about the modern-day people who have now inhabited that area, the pale Arabs. We're, again, referring to the original Arabs who are of dark hue, the Moors. Excuse me. So, therefore, I can go on and on. I wish I had more time. We have brothers like Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, who, alluded to the fact, and he also basically backed up the statements of Prophet Noble Ali about the Canaanites and the Cushites being of what some people would call African origin or Moorish origin. You look into his book, The African Origin of Civilization, he says, and I quote, the Cushites were Edenites from the land of Eden. The Sudanese are synonymous with the Watutsi and the Zulu, 400 years from 1846 to 1446 BC. Says the Cushites of Mesopotamia are identical with the Ethiopians. So, I mean, you know, there's so much information out there. I want to come back on this show in a future date, and hopefully we can have a better discussion. I appreciate, you know, the opportunity, but I do want to have a better discussion and revisit this topic because there's so much more information out there that our people need to know that would help them to see through the fog and realize the truth. You know, again, I appreciate all the brothers who were on the panel, even Brother Nathaniel. You know, again, brother, the only thing I would hope you do is just understand that we got to stop picking apart each other's doctrines and let's deal with tangible results. You understand? Let's find a way to make it so that our people going forward can have something tangible to work with. We got to rebuild our economics. We got to rebuild our education system. There's a lot of things to be worried about as far as sitting here being what you call yourself. I don't want to quote you, but you say you're a doctrine destroyer. I mean, yeah, but how about let's be an economic poverty destroyer? How about that? You know, I think that's something that's more viable for our people. Our people are tired of hearing debates and arguments. Let's work together going forward. And on that note, I'll leave in the ancient words of peace.
All right, Brother Carlisle, once again, I appreciate you, my brother. And we're going to definitely have a part 2, you know, maybe 2 weeks from now. You know, of course, I'm going to arrange it with you, my brother, and see when we can get you back on and everything. But it's definitely a powerful segment of Debate Talk for you. The information has been put out there. So now we're going to go to the people and take a few questions from the people. And then after that, of course, I'm going to allow the brothers to get 10 minutes each for a final statement and bring forth some more information. So let's go to the people. Once again, the number is 646-716-7320. All you got to do is press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. For those international listeners out there, definitely welcome to the show. And if you're calling in, you got to call in via Skype, actually, if you are overseas. So once again, you call in via Skype. The number is 646-716-7320. Let's go to the people. Let's see what they got to say. Let's go to 252-883. You're live on air.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Raheem. How you doing, Brother Sal?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
All right. Cool. Before I even start, Ahlazar is on, right?
Yeah, everybody's on. Yeah.
I'm here,
okay. Okay. Ahlazar, correct me if I'm wrong. You're basically declared war on Islam. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that's settled right there. What I want to say was Khalil and Brother Abba basically displayed a beautiful outset in their speaking and in their knowledge of proof and so forth. And I also understand that the Israelites and the Moors are basically the same people, the Arabs, all those people. Is Abba on still?
Islam, I'm here, beloved.
Islam, brother. I'm Brother Raheem 44, the one me and you used to debate on YouTube. Do you remember?
Wait, say your name again?
Raheem 4411. You and I used to go back and forth.
I think so. I think I do remember. Yeah.
Did you do
a video? Did you do a video on me? Yeah. But tonight I want to extend my hand out to you. You display maturity, and honors, beloved.
I would like Sal to give you my number, and me and you talk. And we dialogue because I love my Moor brothers also, and I understand what Noble Dwali was doing because a lot of people don't know and understand what his mission was, and also Marcus Garvey and all the other brothers that was trying to uplift our people.
That's right.
And that's the only message you're bringing. I want to say this. The brother Khalil mentioned Sheikh Auntie Diop, and I have Sheikh Auntie Diop, Renoko Rashidi. You know who I'm talking about, Brother Abba. You know who we talk about in the conscious community. He said the enigma black belt of mankind is more peculiar because it is apparently constance of two different parent stocks, both with black skins, but differing in almost every other ethnologic feature. The intermediate lands of the Proto-Negro belt, the regions of West Asia, North Africa, Southern India, seem to be home to a remarkable different black face than the one we generally associate with black African peoples, West Africa. The West African scholar, Sheikh Anta Diop, also said there are two well-defined black races. One has black skin with woolly hair. The other also has black skin, often exceptionally black, with straight hair, with alkaline nose, thin lips, acute cheekbone angle. We also found the prototype of this race in India, Dravidian, et cetera, with Nubians, et cetera. As the brother Khalil was basically, I have more stuff, but we all the same. It's really no fighting. Only one that's not the same with us is the Caucasians because of their recessive genes and so forth. But we are all the same, and like the brother said, we got bigger, more problems to worry about, and that's basically, I can go on and on. But and I would like to give it to Abba, and we, powwow. And
I
talk.
would love to. I would love to more.
Yeah, we had our little differences, but I'm over that. And you displayed maturity, and I have to be a man and respect what you and Khalil was doing because I like what y'all was doing. And with that, Sal, just give him my number, and I look for you to call me, brother, and we can talk because I'm doing some other things. And you know what I'm saying? That, brother, I say Islam and Salam Alaikum.
Peace. Wa alaikum assalam.
And Lord Abba, I'm going to definitely give you his number, brother. I see your number on the screen, so I'm going to definitely contact you later on and pass on the number.
Definitely. You can shoot me a text, call, it don't matter.
No problem. Guerrilla Hebrew, anybody want to say anything else right now before we go to the next person? Nathan, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm all good, man. We can move on.
All right, what about you, Brother Nathan? Hey, Nathan, you there? Hold on. I hope you had no technical difficulties right about now. Brother Nathan.
Oh, no, my bad. I muted the phone. Hello?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
I definitely want to say something. They were talking about what to fix our people. But we have to realize, the laws and statutes and commandments don't fix our people. The laws, you are commanded to love your brother. You are commanded not to talebear against your brother. You're commanded not to covet anything that's your neighbors or anything that's your brothers. It tell you specifically to love your own people. It don't tell you to love everybody else. It tell you you are commanded to love your own people. You're commanded not to steal from your own people. It's not talking about thou shalt not talebear against a Gentile, a white man. It says your own people. So the laws are geared towards helping our own people and loving our own people. I mean, I can go all throughout the laws where it tells you in fact, we can go to Leviticus 19. Where it will specifically tell you, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Now, I'm talking about everybody else. That's talking about an Arab or a Chinese. It said thy brother. That's not what anywise rebuke thy name, that's something to sin upon. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. This is not bear a grudge against the Chinese. This is teaching you love for your own people, and that's something our people don't have. So when you talk about, we should deal with something else, this is one thing our people don't want to do is do the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh. So that's why we got to talk about, we need to deal with this. I'm showing you how all these things are breaking the Almighty's laws. They will have you going contrary to the Almighty's laws. And what's going to fix our people is doing the Almighty's laws. And that's what I want to say on that note.
All right, guys, we got to go to the people. Once again, it's Debate Talk for you. You know that number, 646-716-7320. You got to do is press the number 1, and I'll add you in the conversation. Let your voice be heard. What do you think about this topic? Are Moors and Israelites the same? Are Moors and Israelites the same? Feel free to call in. Everybody know the only rule I have is no foul language, no cursing, keep it clean. We have people out here that listen with their children, so make sure you keep it clean out here, keep it professional. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 314-680. You're live in there.
What's going on, y'all? Peace to everybody in the house. This is LaRon Campbell calling up out of St. Louis. I got a quick... Peace, brother. I got a question for Lord Abba and a comment also. What's going on, brother? Peace to you. I know I see the sincerity in your heart, you know what I'm saying, on what you're about, you know, as far as dealing with the people. But my question is this: you know, I kind of got to stick with the brother when we dealing with about the Bible. As far as, you know, we are the same people, you know what I'm saying, and I agree with that. We have the same blood, but just because you have the same blood don't mean that we have the same doctrine. And the doctrine is what takes us a little farther, you know, when you're dealing with the text or whatever. But I want to read this Psalms 83 real quick, and I want to know what you think about this, and where do we go from here. It says Psalms 83 and 5. It says, well, let's go to 4. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off, from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. It says, they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarites, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur is also joined with them. They have Hoplan, the children of Lot, Selah. And it says, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as unto Sisera. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. But all them nations that he named right there, you know, and I know that you guys say that you're the original Arabs, and in that case or whatever, but you can't possibly believe that just as well as the Europeans whitewashing stuff, that you're not actually blackwashing stuff, because we know that there's no way possible that you can purely just say that you guys didn't mix in with the other nations, and then there's not white Arabs or you know, cream-colored Arabs, or as well as black Arabs, you know what I'm saying? And before even the Arabs even came about, there was Iranian and Pakistani peoples, Mesopotamia, dealing with that. So my question is to you is, what do we do about this situation right here? Because you guys don't even really have a nation, and when we talk about the nations that's dealing with in the Bible in the last days in the prophecy, these people are nations, and the black people in America, they don't even have a nation, nor a temple, or nor an army, or none of that, nor a missile, nor a bomb. But we're dealing with nations that represent these nations, that represent these people that's in this Bible that we're seeing now. What do you think about this text? I mean, what should we do about this?
Okay, yeah, I'm very familiar with Psalms 83, verse 4 through 7, because I highlight that in one of my notes called, do y'all hear me?
Yeah, you loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay, I just was making sure I didn't mute out. And one of my notes called Old Man Cush, his father Ham, and the ancient Canaanites. The people that you name, right? You look at the people of Gubla, one of the most ancient cities of the world. This is where your master masons come from. 1 Kings 5:18 says, the craftsmen of Solomon and Hiram and the men of Gebal. Just to prove it, we have, what is that, the second dynasty, I believe it is. I'm trying to pull it up and think at the same time, that one of the pharaohs, he was getting his wood, his timber from Gebal to help build ancient Egypt. So what we're dealing with here, right, and I want to stress this point, and I hope you don't take this as a slight at your doctrine, but I have to speak what I feel. What I feel is that in this instance, these people that have rescripted those texts, the people of Joshua who call themselves Israelites, these are I'm going to take you to some scriptures. Okay. The first oppressor of Israel in the Bible is who? Something that a lot of people really, really don't know. Who is the first oppressor of the Israelites? It's Chushan Rishathaim, who was the king of Aram Naharaim. I may be butchering that, so please forgive me. Now, and this is Judges 3:8, and they write it as a punishment for polytheism. Now, Chushan Rishathaim breaks down to Cushite of double wickedness, or Ethiopian of double wickedness. And the area that he reigns from is Aram Naharaim, which is northwest Mesopotamia. So now we're dealing with this Mesopotamia region, which is the same as the Chaldean or quote-unquote Babylonian region from which Abraham descends. Now, we have to take this into consideration, beloved. All of these nations that are being conquered by Joshua, particularly the Cushites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, please forgive me, my mind is locked up right now. But these peoples, when you dig into the history of these particular tribes, these are undoubtedly Moorish tribes. When I look into who the Joshuaites were, these are the people that we see in what is known as Arabia today, and which genetically produces the pale-skinned Europeans that we have now. And this is why the Ashkenazi can tie themselves back scripturally to this particular bloodline. So what's going on here is that these people that are mentioned, and this is my interpretation, that these people that are mentioned, the tents of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarites, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, with the people of Tyr, all of these are ancient Canaanites. Godfrey Higgins in his book Anacalypsis, speaks to how the archaeology that they found, Sir William Jones, who was the founder of the Asiatic Society, noted that a great nation of quote-unquote blacks, we don't use that term, but I'm quoting verbatim, ruled all of Asia from Sidon. And the Bible, Sidon is called the firstborn son of Canaan. Like, we have to take these things into, this is why I said earlier about
let me ask you a question, bro.
Let me just finish this one point. And I say this, and I don't want nobody to take it wrong, but I've got to say it. These people of Joshua twisted up these ancient texts, and they rewrote it. They wrote themselves in it. They wrote themselves as the Israelites. Noble Juhali comes on the scene and lets us know those Israelites that they're talking about are you. These nations are rebelling against the people of Joshua, the same people that would become the Christian hordes, that transform Hellenism into Christianity. The same exact people, beloved. This is what the Bible is referencing here, according to my interpretation, based on my historical research of extra or outside biblical scholarism.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Fix that. And y'all, let me say right quick, y'all mastered these texts. Y'all got these texts mastered. We have to rewrite them. They twisted it up. I do not reject the book. I reject the twistery that the Europeans went in and did the Joshuaites all those thousands of years ago. Yeah, go ahead, beloved.
All right, yeah, this is the question I have for you. Let me give you a scenario here. We have it to where you have the Israelites, they get taken into captivity, or they leave from out their land, they're dispersed about their land. They go into Europe, and let's say they up into Europe. They begin to have sex with the women and take on the women that's up there in Europe, right? So once they begin to take on the women that's up there in Europe, they begin to have children by them women, right? And so if they have children by them women and their children get older and their children have children by them women, guess what you have? You have a whole flock of Caucasian European descendants of Israel. Am I right or wrong?
You can, I would have used the term mixed people, but I feel where you're going.
Yeah, because that's what the Bible teaches us, and we know this has happened. A marriage within themselves. So then they Africa to Egypt.
Yeah, Lamar, you're kind of breaking up. You're breaking up, my brother. You're kind of breaking up, man. I don't know what's going on, but you're breaking up. But let me let Guerrilla Hebrew jump in real quick. Go ahead, Guerrilla. Anything you want to add, you can do that now, or we can move on to Nathan.
Yeah, I hear, I hear what this brother Lord Abba and several other Moors say regarding the Joshuaites and the tampering with the translations and things of that nature. I mean, as far as my standpoint, I don't feel like there's even close to amount of sufficient proof to substantiate those claims. And the thing that happens here is often when dealing with the Israelites, for example, Carl Albert just had a show recently. Brother Reggie, a Kemetic scholar, was on that show speaking about the relations between the Egyptians and the Israelites. Well, let's say that the Israelites were related to all these ancient groups, the Moabites, all these other. Because, I mean, you could bring viable biblical evidence that we are related to these ancient people. That's fine and dandy. The fact of the matter remains that we alone are the chosen people. And not only that, the scriptures also say that every nation had a hand in our downfall. So with that being said, every nation has something coming to them from the Heavenly Father to recompense the sins and the trespasses that they have committed against us. So with that in mind, as opposed to merging and trying to come together with these other various people, though they may share the amount of melanin that we share, we need to worry about ourselves, build ourselves up, and understand that these people will have to answer for the many transgressions that they've committed against us. So, that's something that we have to keep in mind.
Brother Nathan, go ahead.
Shalom. Can y'all brother hear me?
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful point the brother brought out, man. Psalms 8, let me read it. Keep not thy silence, O Elohim. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Elohim. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, let us cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembered. So now, that's exactly what's going on right now. They're trying to, you know what, right here, it's talking about the enemies. Now, it said the Ishmaelites of Moab, right? I want to read the Circle 7 Quran. I want to read the beginning. It's actually on page 3. It's the beginning, right before it says the prophet Noah. It says like this. The lesson of this pamphlet are not for sale, they are, but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet at expenses. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by ALLAH, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets. And for the first time in ages, have these secrets been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. All authority and right publishing of this pamphlet in 1927. Now, right here, it's saying that this secret was from all these nations, which are basically our enemies. Now, right here, we go to Amos 3 and 7. Now, when we talk about who the Almighty gives his secret to, who does he give it to? Go to Amos 3 and 7, it says, surely Yah Elohim would do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets to his servants, the prophets. He doesn't reveal his secrets to a bunch of Muslims in India, Egypt, and Palestine. But he revealed his secrets to his servants, the prophets of the house of Israel. And so definitely, that's a great point you did, bro. That those people are our enemies. That's all I wanted to put.
You got to go to the people, guys. You got to go to the people.
Okay, go to the people, definitely.
Once again, the number 646-716-7320. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to Israel's Doctrine via Skype. What's going on, brother?
Peace, what up, everybody? Just listening in, trying to fill out where this going. I was out for a sec, but I came in. Peace to Lord Abba. Peace to the Guerrilla Hebrew. Peace to Nathan and the other brother name. But I plan on archiving this and seeing the information that's put on the table so I can do my study and research. Lord Abba was on my show, and he brought some of this stuff up too. So, I mean, I don't know that much about the Moors, but I'm trying to, do my research and stuff. So I appreciate you having them on here, Sal, and allowing this information to get out so we can study it and look at it and deal with it. LaRon brought some good stuff out. pretty good show so far from the little bit that I done heard. So I appreciate it.
Since you on Israel Doctrine, you might as well let the people know where they can check out your show.
Well, I got the Huddle 1 and the Huddle 2. That's just blogtalkradio.com/the Huddle, the number 2, or you can put the number 3, and you can get both of them shows. One come on at 4, and the other one come on at 8 Central Standard Time. So we done had a lot of interviews over there. I'm trying to get Sal over there so y'all can hear him talk about what all he doing over here on Blog Talk and with his debate talk forum here. So then y'all can question him, because I know y'all don't get a chance to do that often.
No doubt. Definitely going to make it happen. And put the number out there, too, where people can call in. What's the number over there?
Man, I don't know. I don't ever call me.
I got you, bro. I got you, brother. I got you, man. Appreciate that, though. All right, let's go to the next person. Let's see who's here. Let's go to 313-571. You're live on Debate Talk for you.
Yeah, shalom, brother Sal. Can you hear me?
Hey, shalom, my brother. Is this Mikael?
Yeah, this is Mikael, man.
Okay.
I gotta say shalom, Alekim. I don't know everybody on the panel, but I like to say that to everybody. My brother Guerrilla Hebrew, Bashir, Nathan, and I don't know who the other brother is, so I don't want to be rude, but grace and peace be unto you, brother.
Islam, beloved. That's how we Moorish Americans say peace.
Oh, well, you ain't got to tell me, bro. I know a amount about the Moorish Americans, and I just want to say to everybody that's listening, my heart kind of broke right now because, I was supposed to be the original person on this discussion with y'all, and I just got a call 45 minutes ago. I told Brother Sal a few days ago I wasn't going to be able to do it. We got some spiritual things dealing with the nation been coming up. So up until the middle of July, I won't be able to go live, and have a real extensive conversation. But I know it went good. Plus, I know we got Guerrilla Hebrew on here, so I know he represented right. When Sal told me, don't worry about it, brother. You ain't got to try to find nobody. Guerrilla Hebrew said he'll fill in. I said, okay, it should be cool then. And I've dealt with Bashir before, and I know he's a real respectful brother, so I know it won't be no screaming and hollering match. But I'm going to go back. I'm going to check out the archives. And like I said, anytime after around the middle of July, if Sal would be so gracious to set up another conversation, because I want to check out everything y'all talked about, I'd be with it. But, I got to take care of the nation or whatever. But let me say this. I don't transcribe to attacking Moorish Americans per se, for the simple fact I was coming up, and the thing I was raised under or gravitated towards was Moorish science. And along the way, I bumped into Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? My brother is Sheikh Bey, and this is the funniest relationship we get. He stayed and gravitated more towards the Moorish science, and I went more towards being, the understanding that we was Hebrew Israelites. But somewhere down the line, they always crisscross. So that was actually a good scripture that LaRon pulled with Psalms 83, because I keep it in my pocket and smack my brother with it whenever he say something crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it'd be kind of funny, because he real heavy on it. So, I got to keep it quick, because I basically snuck off to let y'all hear my voice, and I'm going to go back and check it out. This will be something I can listen to tomorrow. And, Noble Drew Ali was actually a good teacher to me. It was just some things I bumped into. And when I was comparing it with the story of the Israelites and our condition today, I started having issues. And the reason I say it is because I really do believe, like the title is Are More as Israelites. I would say, if I could give an estimated number, well over probably 60 or 70% are Israelites. Others are from other nations. We can't get color struck because everybody on earth at one time was black. So we just can't go off black. But dealing with bloodlines, where the issue would come with me and my brother's people was, we are spiritual people as Israelites. You can't take that from us. We can't put spiritual on the back burner because literally the Bible is our constitution. And being under Moorish science, the Constitution mean a lot because y'all feel y'all got stolen by the Gentiles. I don't know if y'all discussed the cherry tree and who the teacher of Noble Drew Ali was, and the reverse slave trade. Y'all discussed all this?
Nah, well, we don't. Let me say real quick more. We don't, in the Moorish Science Temple of America, any true chiefs, we don't deal with the cherry tree or who Noble Drew Ali's teacher was. Noble Drew Ali said he learned from the depths of Egypt. So he never mentioned any single teacher.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up. So I see kind of where the conversation was at. So I'm not going to be one that jump in at the end and assume I know what y'all talked about, because there are different fractions in, in Moorish science. So, it's a thing like when you was talking about how under Joshua and them that they went and flipped and changed the scriptures or whatever to fit them. Well, you would have to be able to prove that. And then at the same time, I could go into Moorish science, apply with the history and the migration period of the Israelites, even back from the days of Solomon and the Navy fleets, and we could put this thing together, because we still got to address the ancient Phoenicians that was in America that wrote in Hebrew and Canaanite type languages. So we can really get into this, and I think it'd be a good conversation. So
beloved, that's what I said earlier.
Y'all ready to put again, but I can't stay on long. I just want to see what you said.
Indeed, beloved, I said that earlier. When I start getting deeper into the Bible, looking at what Noble Drew Ali brought to us, I start scratching my head, because I'm like, you know what? Out of everybody in the conscious community, the Moorish American Muslims and the Hebrew Israelites have much more in common than anybody else. Even more so, and this may sound crazy, than a lot of our Mohammedan brethren, that we practice what we call Mohammedanism. So I await the day that we get to sit down and build and share information. I can't use the Quran of Mecca to diss the Hebrew Israelites. I'm not going to do that, because I could go into the Quran of Mecca and make the same type of claims about Allah, and where he said that the Jews or the Israelites strayed away and this and that, and they followed these foreign teachings. I'm not going to do that. I'm looking for the similarities, because we have to raise our people up. The rampant immorality is due to the irreligiousness of an atheistic program that is being pushed upon people, and people are accepting it themselves. This means that religion is losing. So if we're battling each other, then the people that already don't want religion, they're going to say, man, look at them fools fighting each other. This dude talking about Yahweh said don't deal with them, and this dude talking about Allah said, he's going to do whatever. Look at these dudes, man. I'd rather be atheist and go to the gay club next Friday night, because that's all we're doing. We're helping. We don't realize that we're helping keep the BS going that's going on right now. Got to do this, and we got to sit down. We're going to have to, because if it wasn't meant for us to be having this conversation by some divine power, guess what? We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Oh, definitely. Nathan, brother, you want to chime in? Go ahead, brother.
Well, you know what? When it comes down to different things, I definitely want to say that if you have anybody, I do this, like I said, you go to Unity Ghost on YouTube. You can't even see my face on there. Okay, it's not really about me. It's not about my glory at all. It's all about glorifying the Almighty's laws and shutting down falsehood. Like I said, if you want to talk about the Quran, the Book of Enoch, Zohar, whatever, Talmud, whatever doctrine that's not the Old Testament, I deal with it. I definitely will deal with it. And I know Lord Abba was talking about earlier about how he would deal with come on my show and things of that nature. But if you can set up something and call me, I can definitely get my teacher. Because if you think that anything about my arguments, then I definitely will set up my teacher so we can get that discussion. Because basically, it's not really about we talk about contentions. Hebrew Israelite, we love our people. We're commanded to love our people. That's one thing. So I love all you brothers on this stage, and I hope and I wish and we don't bear grudges. We don't hold these type of wicked thoughts and things of that nature. But that's what the Almighty's laws teach you, how to deal with your brother. It's not anything else. In fact, like I showed in the Circle 7 Quran, it say once your brother do something to you, you'll never forgive him. because they can't change their ways.
It doesn't say that, though. It doesn't say once your brother does anything to you. It doesn't say that, beloved. Let me just say real quick. We got to put things in context.
But okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, brother. You right. My bad. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, yeah, okay. But it definitely does say that, and we can definitely deal with that. You know what I mean? But I was saying before, you know what I mean? That's pretty much all I wanted to say for now. I'm looking forward to my 10 minutes so I can go over all the rest of the information that I have, because we got to get the Christ of the Circle 7 Quran doing all types of things. But I don't want to get off subject of what y'all was talking about, so that's all I want to deal with. What you about to say, Lord Abba? My bad. What you about to say, brother?
I just wanted to say, yeah, Islam. I just wanted to say, beloved, that when you're reading the thing, you have to keep it within its context. Like a few minutes ago, you read, the lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet at expense. Now, anybody not well-read will be like, well, that seems like a contradiction. You just said that it's not for sale, but he's selling it. Well, let's read it again. The lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity, as I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire, you can receive this pamphlet that I printed up at expense. This means that when I take these lessons and I absorb them, I am to go out there and teach it to my people for no fee, no charge. The lessons that are within the pamphlet. You got to understand, and anybody that's well-read, if they go and read Prophet Noble Drew Ali's words, they'll understand that he had a very great command of the English language. Very, very great command. And there's so much information that people are just, they don't know. You know, the brother, if he would have read the questionnaire, he would have looked and said, all right, they talking about Elohim and all right, I see the connection, you know, but no, he's looking at the Circle 7. He's grabbing phrases and taking them out of context, and we can't do that, beloved. We let's keep things within the context so that we could give people a greater understanding. If the people are going to find the truth within what you teach, then stepping on somebody else, you might cause them to say, you know what, let me read this book. And then they're going to say what I said when I first read it. Yo, this book ain't bad at all.
I'll say one thing because I know he's good at filibustering real quick. I just want to say one thing real quick. Now, we talk about context. I'm going to come, at the end of the thing, I'm going to try to fit in 35 different things that are lies and deceit or just straight up false. And you tell me if all of them are out of context. I know I already put up like 20 on this already. So you can say what you want to say about even when it comes to the Ten Commandments. And we went with the Ten Commandments. That thing right there, you just filibustered. You didn't really answer the question, and it still says that lie at the Almighty's word. And that's all. That's what the Ten Commandments.
I did answer your question.
Finger. He wrote in with his own finger, and for the Circle 7 to blaspheme that is just wrong. You know what I mean? Period. And you didn't answer that question, but there's a whole bunch of different things. You can go right ahead.
Brother, I answered the question. I said that if I wanted to point out a contradiction, first and foremost, and to show you what the prophet meant, soon as Moses comes down off the mountain, he killed 3,000 people when it said, thou shalt not kill. You tried to spin it and say it was a difference between murder and war. All right, man. Whenever we get to our last 10 minutes, I'll use my 10 minutes to answer your question.
Let Guerrilla Hebrew jump in. Go ahead, Guerrilla. I know you've been kind of quiet over there, Guerrilla Hebrew. Go ahead. You can jump in. Guerrilla Hebrew, yeah? Hello? We having some phone issues tonight. All right, so you know what? Let me try to reach out to the brother in the back rooms. Hopefully there's no technical difficulties going on with his phone. But let's go to the people once again. Let's go to the people. 646-716-7320. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 910-551. You're live on air.
Yeah, shalom, sir. Shalom, Ahlazar. I know you can't talk right now, but whatever. So I'm glad that the last caller clarified some things about the difference between nationality and borders that Lord Albert don't seem to comprehend, and he's clearly telling everybody countless lies that I'm not going to go into. But I want to show a little bit of I want to show a little bit of difference between the Moabites and the Israelites, because Ahlazar is absolutely correct when he says that everybody on the phone is Israelites, but the historical Moabites are and their descendants are very different from Israelites, and people don't realize that. So when the descendants of the Moabites came to America, they came here as free people. You know what I mean? So and that was during the time of the migrations, after Columbus. So the Israelites were here way before Columbus and came in here on slave ships. So the Northern Kingdom came here before Columbus, and the Southern Kingdom came here on slave ships. So I want to point out a few differences. When you go to the Barbary Treaty, 1786 to 1816, the treaty with Morocco, June 28th and July 15th, 1786, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship with additional article, also ship signals agreement, which deals with the court, and that's why they don't ever get in trouble in court, because they know if they know the Masonic ship signals, they can get out of any type of trouble. The treaty was sealed at Morocco with the seal of the Emperor of Morocco, June 23rd, 1786, the 25th day of the month of Shaban, and delivered to Thomas Barclay, American agent, June 28th, 1786, the first day of Ramadan. Original in Arabic. The additional article was signed and sealed at Morocco on behalf of Morocco, July 15, 1786, the 18th day of Ramadan. Original in Arabic. The ship signals agreement was signed at Morocco, July 6, 1786, the 9th day of Ramadan. Original is in English. I'm going to go to Article 6 and show you that these Moroccans that people already know that are Moors, but I want to clarify it. Article 6 of that treaty between the United States and the Moors, which they broke the original treaty of friendship, peace and friendship with the Israelites in around about 1200 BC. Now, if any Moor shall bring citizens of the United States or their effects to His Majesty, the citizens shall immediately be sent at liberty and the effects restored. And in like manner, if any Moor, not a subject of these dominions, shall make prize of any of the citizens of America or their effects, and bring them into any of the ports of His Majesty, which ports also means courts, they shall be immediately released, as they will then be considered as under His Majesty's protection. Okay, now I'm going to go to Article 16 of the same treaty. In case of a war between the parties, the prisoners are not to be made slaves. So Moors were free people. Anybody that was dark skinned and free that migrated here after Columbus, and those time frames that I just mentioned, are the Moors. The Israelites are the people that came before Columbus and came here on slave ships as slaves that the Moors sold to the United States under this treaty. Now, what to be exchanged one for another, captain for captain, officer for officer, and one private man for another. And if there shall prove a deficiency on either side, it shall be made up by the payment of 100 Mexican dollars for each person wanting. And it is agreed that all prisoners shall be exchanged in 12 months from the time of their being taken, and that this exchange may be effected by a merchant or any other person authorized by either of the parties. Now, if you want to be a Moor, that's just a doctrine that this guy keeps talking about. The Bible, the whole Bible is a doctrine. So if you want to be a Moor and just cling to that type of nationality, go ahead and be my guest. Now, I'm going to tell you about the Israelites. The final captivity of the Israelites is what we're going through right now. Okay? After that, we're going to rule, and the people like the Moors and other people like white people are going to be the employees of our companies and our rulership and all that stuff. So now, when you go to Joel 3, 1 through...
Yeah, hold on, my brother. Yeah, we're trying to run out of time, brother. We're running out of time. You're bringing out a lot of information, though, brother.
Beloved. That's all that stuff.
Lord Abba. You can yeah.
Or we going to another call?
Nah, go ahead. You can reply to that. You can reply to that.
Okay, cool. With everything, and this is what I'm saying, people, we have to step up. We have to really step up as intellectuals. We have become so used to being fed garbage that we take garbage and spit it back with such confidence and give it to other people. Some people probably would have just believed what this brother just said, that the Moors were set free, but the Israelites were enslaved. It would take me a good 20 or 30 minutes to break down everything that he just said and prove, not give you my opinion, but prove through what the text say that is wrong. Noble Drew Ali in Act 6 of our divine constitution and bylaws says that the Moors are the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. In our Moorish literature, it speaks about how we were being taken from Africa and brought over here. It speaks about Moors living over here as well. The prophet was quoted as saying the Moors lived up and down the Mississippi River. The records on this land show that people knew that they were Moors. My grandmother, who was from South Carolina, told my mother that we were Moors from South Carolina, and yet my great-grandfather was a slave. Like, a lot of the stuff that these people are saying, he doesn't even know about the treaty. If people want to learn about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, not somebody's romantic tale, go to my video, go to my YouTube channel, Lord Abba 9. There's a video called Black Status versus Moorish American Nationality and the issue of reparations. I break the treaty down, not based on my own opinion, where I give my opinion, I say it's my opinion, but what the treaty says. Noble Drew Ali said the Europeans went to an old sheik in the Moroccan government and asked for a land mandate to come and develop this land. They were given a 50-year land mandate to do so. The treaty that they signed in 1786 wasn't a treaty. First and foremost, it was a land mandate that ended in 1836. This is why they were trying to get the ship signal agreement signed. They wanted to open the treaty back up. But Abdullah Tahir Finish, who was the diplomat from Morocco, says that I cannot deface this treaty because in Islamic custom, it is written up in the form of a grant. You see, after 1836, Jubilee was supposed to take place on this land. Whether you were Islamic, Hebrew, Indian, feather bearers, it didn't matter. The Europeans were supposed to return every man unto his possessions. Like, we got to stop with the romanticizing and the fantasizing just because we're trying to be these doctrinal people. Let's deal with the facts. Like I said, beloved, I can go so deep in that regard. We could do a show on the treaty, and I want to touch on one quick point. He said Moors, that's why Moors getting out of jail. No, Moors are going into court. Moors that's not in the Moorish Science Temple of America that follow Noble Drew Ali, but follow the ideals of other men that have never led us anywhere, and they're getting locked up because that stuff does not work. In 1956, look this up, people. Dwight D. Eisenhower sent a memorandum to Morocco. And in that memorandum, it closed down all U.S. jurisdiction in Morocco. So this closed the Council of Court. So this made major provisions of the treaty ineffective. Before then, Moors were able to use the treaty to protect our people, point blank. Point blank, because Noble Drew Ali said if you're not a nation, then you are subject to all the abuses that the regular citizens here care to bestow upon you.
Yeah, I apologize, my brother. We're kind of running out of time, my brother. Running out of time. Let me go to Nathan, brother. Nathan, you want to say something real quick, briefly? Because we got to run out of time. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I definitely wanted to say that you go to number 35 and 20. It talks about a difference between murder and the killing. That's that's retarded. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he talks about unity, right? But every time he sees something inconsistent with the Bible, he's not going to say that the Circle 7 is wrong. He's going to say that something's wrong with the scriptures. Now, of course, I said I brought out where a whole bunch of different things. You know what I'm saying? Where it says that Jews sacrifice man for sin offerings, men in the prison for sin offerings. That wasn't addressed. The only thing was I got a whole bunch of screaming at, a whole bunch of this and that, but that was never addressed. But it's a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of stuff. It talks about how Christ did not bear his cross on Calvary. It was a man named Simon that bared his cross on Calvary. And not only it said it said Christ walked on water in the New Testament. Well, actually, it said 3 people in the Circle 7 walked on water. Okay, so when we're seeing all these inconsistencies, what's going to happen is the brother's going to tell me, well, it's something wrong with the Bible. It's not. It's not what Noble Drew Ali said. No, it's not the lies that Noble Drew Ali came with. It's the Bible. And then we got Christ joining the secret brotherhood, taking a vow of the secret brotherhood in the silent brotherhood. But what is this silent brotherhood? It has nothing to do with the Almighty. Nothing at all to do with the Almighty's word. And then, like I said, I addressed how he gives all honor to the temple of the Son, even though he said that ALLAH does not have a temple at all, which is a lie. But then he gives all honor to the temple of the Son. And I'm thinking to myself, well, address that. Because obviously, because he's not supposed to get no honor to any other temple than the temple of the Almighty Yahweh, his Father, his supposedly Father. He's supposedly supposed to be ruling Jerusalem in the last days from the temple. But we got this where he's honoring the temple of the Son. He's talking about incense to the Son. So, we got all these different things where it's like, okay, well, I'm just taking it out of context, but not at all. There's something wrong with this book, this Circle 7 Quran. And once you're able to notice that, you can get the information with the history and all that. That can be right and exact. I'm not dealing with that. I'm dealing with how false the Circle 7 Quran is. I wanted to throw that out there real quick.
We have like 15 minutes in the air, and let me check Ahlazar. You back, my brother? You back on?
Yeah, I'm in the building. My brother.
You want to respond? You can go ahead.
In response to, I heard like the bitter end of what the caller was referring to, and then I listened to Lord Abba's response, and I kind of got the gist of what the caller was probably alluding to and whatever I missed. For him to say that the Moors are free and the Israelites are slaves, that's crazy. Okay, to think that any indigenous people or people brought over here on a slave ship are even remotely free is insane to even insinuate in this time. The more and more, the higher up our people get in the society, the more enslaved our people get in one way or another anyway. But, I just want to, the Lord Abba, the brother, he kind of cut up some of that madness quite quickly. We can't, and that's the thing, we cannot separate Moors from Israelites. We maybe could separate doctrine, but as a people, we cannot do that. I want to urge all the listening audience to stop doing that. And us as Moors and Israelites are the only groups in the conscious community that actually are making an effort to do so, to show that, no, we're not putting a border between each other based solely off of doctrine, because we both bear witness to the fact that we are the same and our origins are there in the Levant.
All right, guys. I only have time for maybe one more caller, and after that, we're going to get to the final statements. We're going to give brothers at least 10 minutes to give a final statement to let them, bring out some more information to the masses out there. So I'm going to take one more caller, and after that, we're going to move on. But once again, I appreciate everybody that's got pressed number 1 and, stood by patiently. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 315-863. You're live on the Bay Talk for you.
Shalom, shalom. This is Sound Mind representing y'all's anointed over here in the 315 Syracuse area. I'd like to say peace to all the brothers on the panel. And my question is, all right, if Moors and Israelites are the same people, then that would mean that the Moors in the beginning had the Torah, just like the Israelites had the Torah. And what the Moors did, their sect, they diverted away from the Torah, because the Most High never told us to divert away from the Torah. They did it on their own to divert away from the Torah, which what I'm trying to understand is, if Moors are Israelites why don't they keep Torah, and why do they prescribe to the Quran more than the Torah? Thank you.
Islam?
I got all that.
Can y'all hear me?
You can break it down. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I explained earlier, beloved, that I used the Babylonian Talmud as an example from a historical aspect, not from a doctrinal aspect, but from a historical aspect, to show that it is our belief that the Torah that we have now, or the 5 books of Moses, etc., the Old Testament, has been tampered with by people that we have dubbed Joshuaites. These are people that came in the Bible chronicles. Joshua's taking over the land of Canaan. When you take over a land, and according to biblical scholars, it says that when this group of people came in, the ways and the customs were not totally destroyed. They were absorbed by the invaders. This is according to, it's all in my notes, and I don't have that stuff up in front of me, but please forgive me. Now, we're not obliged to follow that which we can say has been tampered with. We see the truth in the Old Testament. We see our history, but we see the distortions. Look, let me break it down. You look at Moab and Ammon. The daughter says, there is not a man in all the earth who will, in all of the whole world, the whole earth, who will come in unto us. Come, let us get our father drunk and preserve our seed with him. So they trick Lot, a righteous old man, to consume. He would have to have consumed an absolutely large amount of alcohol to get drunk enough to not realize that he was sleeping with his daughter. I don't know a man alive today who would drink that much and have sex with his daughter. Then he wakes up, no hangover, no nothing. The very next night, the next daughter tricks him into drinking like a fish again. And he passes out and has sex with her. And this is how the nation of Moab and Ammon, or Ben-Ami, comes into existence. We have to put things back into their proper perspective, beloved, because look at it on its face. It cannot be true. Lot was a righteous man. A righteous man.
So just because you fathom the story, that means the Bible's tampered with?
Yes.
You can't fathom it. So you have a problem with it. That means that it's been tampered with. I just want to get that on the record. That's what you believe?
Yeah, I've said that since we've been on I don't know how long you've been listening. I said that I believe my Hebrew Israelite brothers are the ones that have to put things back into their proper order. I said, yes, I believe that the Joshuaites a very long time ago tampered with these texts. Yes. That's my belief. Yes.
All right. Thank you for that. I totally disagree. You know, people fall all the time. You know, if that brother slipped up, you mad at him for the story being recorded the way it is, because I don't know if the way the westernized culture and put it in your head to make it seem like, oh, that's just impossible, that's just too carnal, blah, this, blah.
I read it myself, man. I read it myself, beloved.
I understand, I agree, but just because you can't fathom it don't mean it's been tampered with. So thank you for that, though. I appreciate your input.
I appreciate your inquiry, beloved.
All right, guys. Let me try to sneak in one more question. Just one more. 845-665. Live on the Debate Talk for you.
Hey, what's going on, brothers and sisters? And Debate Talk for you, meaning. But for all the brothers in the panel right now, this brother Stanley of Sin No More Ministries, I was just checking in, and I just was a little moved a little bit by the last statement. I just wanted to chime into that last statement the brother was stating about Lot. And I kind of agree with the last caller, Anthony Soundmind, that the idea is, he said the scripture says that there was no hangover. The scriptures didn't mention what happened to Lot in the daytime. You see, we have to keep this in mind. Just because something is not stated, it doesn't necessarily mean there was nothing. There's a term that says the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. All right?
Beautiful.
So just because you do not somewhere and it's not stated, it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. Now, you're right. Lot was a righteous man. But to presume that a righteous person cannot make unrighteous acts is very presumptuous. And so then we're going to make a doctrine based on that, and if it doesn't make sense to our particular personal mind, then we're going to say, well, things didn't happen. The scriptures clearly says that the mind is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? So if you're going to trust a mind that's deceitful above all things, then you right there, you've been deceived. You lost the battle right then and there. The scripture says that to submit ourselves to God, trust with Him in all our heart, and lean not on our own understanding, and He shall direct our path. We can't lean on our understanding on that. Our minds are deceitful. They're wicked above all things. So Satan is wicked. The mind is more wicked than that. That's how wicked the mind is. So we have to really be careful that we're not trusting on things that just doesn't make sense. We have to start trusting in God. The word of God is God. Can it be tampered with? Possibility that somebody tampered with it. But just because you believe it was tampered with, it doesn't mean it was tampered with. Why would you trust that was tampered with and other things that you believe in isn't tampered with? Now we're picking and choosing which one we blame that is tampered with is not. So I just think that it's very presumptuous of us to make these kinds of statements about the scriptures, especially when we're going by faith. And for us to just say, I just believe this is the so I'm going to believe what we can believe anything going that route, anything. So I think we have to be very careful, especially in these last days, that we don't trust stuff like that. That's all I have to say right now. God bless you all. Happy Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom. God bless you all, Debate Talk for you audience. And Brother Sal, thank you for bringing me in. God bless you all. Take care. Peace.
Yes, Islam. If I can, I'll make it brief. When we go back, and what the brother said was beautiful about presumption. You know, the scripture doesn't say Lot had a hangover. Well, I mean, at some point in time, we have to fill in the blanks. But let's go back before Lot even gets drunk. The daughter says, we cannot find a man in all of the earth. This is what it says. All of the world, the earth, whichever translation you're looking at, that will come in unto us. Well, I know some big. I grew up in the projects in New York, and we had some big, gruesome looking. All of our women are beautiful, but just speaking from that perspective, from a old hood mindset, and they was getting it like the rest of the pretty girls was, first and foremost. So then, right, we have to take into context. If Lot drinks till he blacks out, I used to drink. I'm quite sure most of us on this line, before we found what we found, I'm not saying everybody, we have drunk before and have been drunk, have been probably passed out drunk before. And so Lot, wait, and woke up with that 3-day hangover, especially that next day. Like, let's think, if this man drunk till he passed out enough that he didn't even realize he was having sex with his own daughters? Really?
Yeah, hold on, Lord Albert. We got 3 minutes on the air, guys. So we're going to go in the overtime part of the show, and we're going to go to the final statements real soon. Once again, if you want to hear the overtime part of the show, you have to dial that number, 646-716-7320, before the time is up. Once again, we have 3 minutes, 30 seconds on the air, guys. So if you want to hear the rest of the show, the number is 646-716-7320. I'm pretty sure Brother Nathan or the Guerrilla Hebrew want to chime in real quick before we get to the final statements. Let's go to Nathan. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, basically the brother kept talking about the mind is deceitful above all things. But I think Jeremiah, I think at 16:9 or something, the brother at Guerrilla Hebrew, it says the heart is deceitful above all things, and that it wasn't talking about, even though the heart, definitely has the same type of, you think within the heart as well. But actually, when he was bringing up the heart deceitful above all things, it reminded me of something that Lord Abba said earlier when he quoted the 8th chapter, the 13th verse, where it said, "If you would serve the deity who speaks within the heart, just serve your near of kin, or those who are no kin." So right here, your deity speaks in the heart. Now, the heart is deceitful above all things. But, basically, that's pretty much all. I ain't had too much. That's all I want to say.
All All right, Guerrilla Hebrew, you're up next, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, in reference to what he just said, as far as the heart and the mind, when you deal with the Hebrew word heart, it's lab, and that's where you get the term lobe or frontal lobe, which is the front of your head, your brain, your mind. So that's the concept of your mind and your heart. When you see it in Hebrew, heart, that term is synonymous with your actual mind. But in reference to this whole situation with Lot and whatnot, you know, I don't understand why this entire scenario was far-fetched. They saw a very catastrophic thing. They then fled and hid in a cave. They had no idea that, you know, because of the destruction that they saw of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were under the impression that the whole world had no people. So they did get their father, however drunk they had to get him, to lay with them and produce the children of Moab and Ammon. And you have to understand how significant that story is to the explanation behind certain physical features of certain groups of people. I know particularly my sect of Hebrew Israelites, we uphold the belief that the Moab and Ammonites are your modern day inhabitants of Asia, your modern day Asians, your Chinese, your Japanese, and such. We all know that when you deal with their skeletal structure, that they are mongoloids. We know that incest is consistent with producing people who suffer from mongoloidism. So that explains how these people came to be and why their phenotype is the way it is. As we know, if the Bible is an account of everybody's ancient origin, then their origin would have to be in there, and you can't consistently show me any other lineage of people to explain why they would have that type of mutation if they're not the descendants of Moab and Ammon.
All right, guys, we're about to go to the final statements, everybody. Once again, we're running out of time on the air, but you can hear the overtime part of the show. You got to dial that number, 646-716-7320. But if not, the show is archived. And once again, I appreciate you guys for being here live on Debate Talk for You. So let's get this final statement thing going. All right, so being that Lord Abba is the only Moorish brother here, I'm going to save you for last, my brother, to bring out your final statement. So we're going to start off at, let's start off with Brother Nathan. I know you got a lot of information you want to put out there. So let me open up his phone line, my brother. And you got 10 minutes, my brother. Go ahead.
All right. I'm not going to let him get away with the Deuteronomy 16:21 where we talk about grove right here. Right here it says, thou shalt not plant thee any grove of any tree near the altar of Yah the Elohim, which ye shall make thee. You shall set up any image which Yah Elohim hateth. Now, right here we're talking about the grove. Now, we see that not only does Christ disrespect the Almighty by saying that he doesn't even have a temple, but then he honors the temple. Then they go teach over at some groves. You know what I mean? In the Circle 7 Quran, even though the Christ of the New Testament knows that the Almighty has a temple. You know what I mean, and things of that nature. But let me go to a couple things. I'm gonna go to chapter 16 and 27 real quick. I want to try to get as much as possible I can get in here. 16 and 27, and it says, a man named Simon from Cyrene, a friend of Jesus, was near the scene, and since the bruised and wounded Christ could not bear his cross, they laid it on the shoulders of this man and made him bear it to Calvary. So right here, it's talking about Simon bearing it to Calvary, not Christ, okay? We go to chapter 18 and 25. It says right here, the Garden of Solomon was silent on the Sabbath day. The Jewish soldiers watched, and no one else approached the tomb. But on the following night, the scene was changed. At midnight, every Jewish soldier heard the voice which said, Amen, Mashi Kami, which means the Lord J, rise. And they supposed again that friends from J were alert and coming up to take the body of their Lord away. The soldiers were alert. Now, basically, I'm going to go to verse 32. I got too much to show. It said, and then the earth began to quake and the rays of light, and they saw the form descending from heaven, and they said, behold, an angel comes. So right here, I just want to show how in the scriptures, the angel came at the beginning of the day. So you can look at the book of Matthew 28. It became at the beginning of the day on Sunday. But right here in the Circle 7, he came on Saturday and at Saturday night. right here, we go to chapter 13 and 15. I'm trying to go as much things as possible, as I said. 13 and 15, it says, and the master said, this is talking to Christ, take then the vow of the secret brotherhood. And Christ took the vow of the secret brotherhood. So, like I said, this has nothing to do with the law, statutes, and commandments of the Almighty. But Christ is taking vows of the secret brotherhood. I want to also read chapter 17 and 33, where it says, let me see, chapter 17 and 25. When I say Christ, I'm talking about JC. So Christ will lift the sons and daughters of the human race, yea, every one of them, from darkness and from the graves of carnal things to light and everlasting life. So Christ is coming for everybody. It's not like what the New Testament says. Christ is coming for everybody. And also in the same chapter 17 and 33, it says, and Jay stood upon the second pedestal, the master stood and let me read it again. When Christ stood upon the sacred pedestal, the master stood and said, all hail, the great bells of the temples rang, and all the temples were ablaze with light. Then Christ said, all honor to the masters of this temple of the sun. So all honor goes to the masters of the temple of the sun. It's not talking about the temple of the Almighty where the Levites are. He's talking about this temple of the sun, what this Christ is talking about. Now, we can continue right here. Let me see, right here in chapter 2 and 11, it says, who are ordained to lay a solid rock, a sure foundation stone on which the temple of the perfect man shall rest, a temple which shall never be destroyed. And this temple of a perfect man is not talking about Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. It's talking about some paganistic garbage. But we can continue right in chapter 5 and 21, where it says, and on a 12-step ladder we ascend until we reach the pinnacle, and that which the life is spent to build the temple of the perfect man. So right here we're seeing this. Now I want to show how Christ is a very low, basically he called himself a low life in the Circle 7 Quran. We go to chapter 3 and 11, and I'm going to show you this. Chapter 3 and 11, it says, the lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. He goes on in verse 15. We're talking about lower self. I'm going to show you what lower self is before I go with what Christ said about himself. It says, and he knows well of his lower self, knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows of his higher self knows the deity, ALLAH, knows well the things that cannot pass away. I'm going to go to chapter 13. Chapter 13, he talks about the lower self again in verse 11, where he says, let me see. Right here in chapter 13 and 11, it says, okay. I'm going to go to chapter 15 and 3. I got to run through this thing. Chapter 15 and 3, where it says, and with himself he talked and said, my lower self is strong, and many times I am bound down to carnal life. So right here, Christ is letting you know the lower self was inside of him is strong, and he's bound to carnal life. And that's so he's letting you know this is not the Christ of the New Testament. This is a Christ that's bound to his lower self. And I wish I can find that other part where he talks about how the lower self is the devil. And I cannot find it right now. So I'm gonna keep it moving. Let me go to chapter 17, and hopefully I'll find it. Chapter 17 and verse 18, where it says, now Claudius and his wife were in the Tiber in a little boat, and a storm swept from the sea, and the boat was wrecked, and Claudius and his wife were sinking down to death. And Jay came and took them by the hands and said, Claudius and Juliet, arise and walk with me upon the waves. And they arose and walked with him upon the waves. 1,000 people saw 3 walk on the waves and saw them reach the land, and they were all amazed. So right here we're seeing that 3 people walked on water, not just one. Okay? So we're seeing all these different inconsistencies with the scriptures. But of course, the Moors are going to say the scriptures are wrong. Okay, we go to chapter 8. Chapter 8 of the Circle 7 Quran. And we go to verse 16. Let me read this. And I'm gonna find it where it's talking about the lower self is the devil, because Christ is letting you know he got the devil in him. But let me just go with what I can find right now. 16, 8 and 16, it says, and okay. Oh, for a second, okay, right here it says, and Christ said, our Father, the deity, act not for need is waste of plant, of grain, of dove, and of lamb. This is Christ. Christ was living during the time of the temple of the Almighty. So he's telling the people at the temple, you don't need to get no grains. And in fact, the thing about it, after Christ died, Paul made a sin offering. He made a sin offering himself in the book of Acts. But we read, he said, when you would offer sacrifice to the deity, just take your gifts of grain and meat and lay it on the table of the poor. For it an incense will arise to heaven, which will return with you to blessedness. Oh man, I don't got that much time. Let me go on some more. Let me go some more stuff. Basically, he said sacrifices is wrong. You go to chapter 10. Chapter 10, verse. Okay, right here. He said, verse 9, now man and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh. How dare you kill anything? So Christ right here is telling you not to make sacrifices to the Almighty. But basically one thing I definitely want to stress to everyone is that it's all about the law, statutes, and commandments of the Almighty. That's what's going to save our people. All the Israelite camps know this. And as long as we have this doctrine, how are we going to say we're going to unify? And every time we talk about doctrine, we got I can't believe. My bad. I'm sorry, everybody. Everyone, we talk about unifying doctrine, and we got two different doctrines saying two different things. It's not going to work. We got one person, and then as soon as you show the contradictions in the Bible, they want to say, well, it's the Bible. I mean, the contradictions within the doctrine, Circle 7 Quran in the Bible, they want to say the Bible is wrong. And as I said before, I'm Unity Ghost. That's one word on YouTube. That's all I do is deal with false doctrine. So just holler at me. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot more things dealing with the Circle 7 Quran. It talks about how not only we talk about the temple of the perfect man, but in chapter 24 and 3, in which he's about to probably cut me off. So 24 and 3, it says the purity of the child is sweeter than the incense of Persia offering to the sun. And right here in 23 and 13 it says, teach him science and his life will be useful. Teach him religion and his death shall be happy. Now, first of all,
all right, my brother, time is up. Once again, Nathan Israel, I appreciate you for coming on Debate Talk for You. And right about now, I just want you to put some information out there for people to reach out to you. You know, tell them about the radio show and everything else, and then we got to go to the next person. Briefly, go ahead, Nathan.
Oh, yeah, my radio show is Fishers and Hunters at blogtalk.com. Fishers and Hunters is one word. I got a YouTube channel that's Unity Ghost. That's one word. And also we have the Black Pipe of my teacher, the Moray House of Israel, Cincinnati. He has a show, Black Flight Radio, that he does actually every Friday at 8 o'clock. Also, I have my teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, Brother Elkanah Israel, on the same Black Flight Radio show on Blog Talk Radio. So just check that out. That's on Sunday at 3:30.
Once again, man, appreciate you being on the show. And most likely we will have a part 2 to this particular topic. Are Moors and Israelites the same? So far, I got a great response via email, via social media about this particular show and all the shows on Debate Talk for You. So for the people, I'm going to try to set up a part 2 of this particular topic so we can, get some more information. So let's go to the Guerrilla Hebrew right about now. He has 10 minutes. Final statements. Go ahead.
Yeah, first and foremost, again, I just want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, the name of the Most High God, in the name of His only begotten Son. And I just want to thank everybody that came on the panel, the brother Kal, the brother Nathaniel, and of course my beloved brother Lord Abba, who I look forward to building with in the future. He's a beautiful brother and a very knowledgeable and intellectual brother. Something that we have an extreme lack of in this day and age. So it's very refreshing. But I do definitely want to speak to something Nathaniel alluded to. because like I said, we do have a lot in common with the Moors. Definitely as Israelites. I mean, at least coming from the two schools of thought, in juxtaposition to our actual lineage as being the exact same. But the thing that Nathaniel was iterating, and that the thing that I would like to reiterate, which is a beautiful message, is that at the end of the day, we must come on one accord. And this one accord is not a dogmatic religious perspective. What we have to remember is, when you read in the scriptures, for example, Khalil in the beginning of the show referenced Deuteronomy 13 about if one of your brethren suggests that you worship a God that was not worshipped by your forefathers. So this is not a religion, this is our heritage. And these laws, statutes, and commandments and this spiritual system and the worshiping of the Most High God of Israel is our heritage. It is not a religion. This religion thing, it came through the process of time of people wanting to follow the gods of other people. When we take a look at the land of ancient Canaan, which we've been discussing all night, the land of ancient Canaan had different deities for different regions that symbolized different things and had different functions, okay? But our God, the God of Israel, is unlike all of those other idols because you cannot put an image on him. He cannot be summed up in anything on this earth. He is. His name in itself, Yahweh, means he is. He exists, the self-existent one. He is existence itself. We got to keep those things in mind. Again, it's not a religion. It is who we are. We have to get back to our ancient cultures, customs, and traditions. And this Bible has them documented, and following the Bible is following our ancient culture, custom, and traditions. We got to remember these things. The whole Moorish paradigm, though some will contend that it came much earlier than we would contend, I will definitely say our people partook in it, especially in North Africa, when we did a conquest throughout Europe and civilized those cave people up there, that we came with the Moorish identity. But those same Moors, a lot of them, and I could bring historical document proving that they had the Torah, and they had different various copies of the various prophets that we see in the Old Testament, in the same, pretty much the same wording as we have them today in the Holy Bible. So we cannot stray away from that, especially if the ancient Moors, in fact, followed these things or at least utilized these tools, had these tools, But what I want to do is I want to get a scripture. This is Philippians, the 2nd chapter. I'm going to start at verse 1. If there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Okay, so that's something that we have to do for our salvation. Become more like-minded and get on one accord and have one mind, having the same ideals, the same morals, the same spiritual system and beliefs. And the Hebrew Israelite paradigm, that's what it is. Now, but even inside of Israel, we have to iron out our differences, because I and Nathaniel identify ourselves as Hebrew Israelites, but we don't agree on everything. He follows only the New Testament. And even on the things that we do follow in the Old Testament, I'm sure we will have differences on breakdowns on certain of those. So all of us as a collective have to work to getting on one accord. The Israelites, we need to work on getting on one accord with one another. Then we need to go to the outside and try to get our other brothers who are following the ways of the heathen, into also a one accord with us. Okay. Now, all of our people are going to get on one accord? No, that's unrealistic. And the scriptures don't even say all of our people are going to get on one accord. In the book of Zechariah, when it speaks about those of our people that will be delivered, it says 1/3 of Israel will be delivered from the imminent destruction. So we got to keep that in mind. But what we got to do as Hebrew Israelites is be in these scriptures and let the Spirit guide us and teach us the best and most efficient ways to break these scriptures down, and ask the Most High that the Spirit works with us to give us the wisdom to elude and to teach this information to our brethren. And our mission is ultimately to wake up as many brothers as we can through the Spirit that it takes, for us to get our salvation and deliverance. So this is something that we always got to keep in mind. To the Moorish brothers, again, we're going to agree on a lot of things. A lot of our differences are not fundamental, which is the advantage we have to dealing civilly more so with the Moorish brothers, which is a beautiful thing. What we got to start ironing out with the Moorish brothers is the particulars. Lord Abba started mentioning the Aquarian Gospels and things of that nature. I think those things are poison. Reason being, I have done diligent research on the origins of these things, and I'm very familiar with the individuals, the white individuals, the European individual that belong to various mystery schools and things of that nature. They authored those books, whether it have been, the Aquarian Gospels and things of that nature. I've been to the Rosicrucian Fellowship headquarters. I've taken a look at their literature. I know their belief system, and I understand their goals. And I also have the documents of their 1912 global meeting at their headquarters, which is 10 minutes from my home, where they identified themselves as the chief school of soul science of the Illuminati. These same people who have been hell-bent on keeping us away from our identity. So I think anything produced by those individuals is utter poison, and I think we need to stay away from those things and doctrines that contradict and are contrary to the measuring stick in which the Bible is. But us as Hebrew Israelites, like Lord Abba also alluded to, it is our mission and our job right now to correct things and get things right and show these brothers that these are not contradictions. And these Joshuaites did not come and tamper with certain things, that this is the way it is. Lord Abba has that belief system, so it is our job to show him, no, brother, it's not like that. There are some questions that I do have for the Moorish brothers, but this was not the platform for it. I don't think so, so I didn't ask it. This is more of a platform of some sort of unity and getting kind of a better understanding. So that's why I use the tactics that I did as opposed to being the typical guerrilla that I am. I definitely use subtle tactics because a guerrilla can also be subtle, but I hope the listening audience was edified by this, and I hope that this is a step in the right direction to bridging the gap between us and our different doctrines, getting our people more closer to being on one accord and one mind. With that, again, call halal Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and Shalom to everybody out there.
Once again, Ahlazar, the Guerrilla Hebrew, appreciate you as well coming on the show. And again, for those people that are not familiar with you, let the people know where they can find you on social media, where they can email you, put out that social media information. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, most definitely. You can reach us at Exodus1715.info, YouTube.com/Exodus1715. That's Exodus without the E for the YouTube, not the actual .info. And also Sakari, YouTube.com/Sakari1715, which is SICARII, the numbers 1715. Or you can also hit us up on the Instagram, Exodus1715. That's Exodus with the E. Any questions or anything, I always make myself readily available to reach out to any and all brethren or sisters out there that have any questions or, just want to give us a shout out or anything like that. We always readily available to communicate with the people.
All right. Somebody sent me. You can hear me? Oh, yeah, you can hear me? Okay. Yeah, somebody sent me a quick question via email. Somebody said, how can they join up with Exodus 1715? How can they join up? Somebody want to sign up?
Yeah, well, you tell that brother to hit me, or we also have the Facebook. So just tell that individual, it's facebook.com/Exodus1715. That's Exodus with the E. Get at us on Facebook, YouTube, any of the different outlets that I named, and we could go from there.
All right, cool. I'm going to definitely share that information with the brother. Once again, I appreciate you coming on Debate Talk for You. All right, so let's go to Lord Abba. And once again, everybody has 10 minutes. So, 10 minutes for the final statements. And once again, I appreciate Brother Khalil who came on, and actually he reached out to me first. And, we came up with the whole idea for the show. Are Moors and Israelites the same? And once again, we're going to try to get a part 2 going on for this particular topic. And, definitely a classic. So let's go to Lord Abba. Got 10 minutes, my brother? Go ahead.
Islam. Man, this has, first let me say honors to you, to the host. What's your name again, beloved?
Oh, Sal Showtime.
Sal Showtime. Honors to you for having me on. This has been a great dialogue. Honors to all of the other guests that's on the show, Guerrilla, Hebrew. I already know we definitely going to build. We done had a couple of conversations, even though they were conversations with others involved, we still got a chance to build. I want to start by saying that you cannot use your scripture to say that another scripture is false. The people that adhere to your scripture, they'll believe that, but nobody else will. If you're going to say a thing is false, you're going to have to prove it. You cannot chunk bits and pieces out of somebody's scripture, take it out of context, and then use your scripture and say, see, what we teach is different. I can do the same exact thing and then say your scripture is wrong or your scripture is poison or etc. He said, the brother Nathaniel spoke about Jesus walking on water, for instance. And it said that he lifted two others up from out of a watery grave. That our scripture does say. But just because his scripture does not say it, it doesn't make my scripture wrong. It just means that we have varying accounts. He touched on the lower self, the prophet Jesus, because we teach that the lower self, falsehood manifests, that this is basically your devil, your carnal desire. So I want to read a scripture. This is chapter 7, the friendship of Jesus and Lamas. Jesus explains to Lamas the meaning of truth. Among the priests of Yaganov was one who loved the Jewish boy. Lamas Brahmas was the name by which the priest was known. One day as Jesus and Lamas walked alone in Plaza Yaganov, Lamas said, "My Jewish master, what is truth?" And Jesus said, "Truth is the only thing that changes not. In all the world, there are two things. The one is truth. The other is falsehood. And falsehood is that which seems to be. Now, truth is aught and has no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is naught, and yet it is the manifest of right. Whatever has been made will be unmade. That which begins must end. All things that can be seen by human eyes are manifests of aught, are naught, and so must pass away. The things we see are but reflexes just appearing, while the ethers vibrate so and so, and when conditions change, they disappear. The holy breath is truth, is that which was and is and evermore shall be. It cannot change nor pass away. Lamar said, you answer well. Now what is man? Pay attention, Brother Nathaniel. And Jesus said, man is the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Man is the breath made flesh. So truth and falsehood are conjoined in him, and they strive, and naught goes down, and man as truth abides. Again, Lamas asks, what do you say of power? And Jesus said, it is a manifest. It is the result of force. It is but naught. It is illusion, nothing more. Force changes not, but power changes as the ethers change. Force is the will of Allah and is omnipotent, and power is that will and manifest, directed by the breath. There is a power in the winds, a power in the waves, a power in the lightning stroke, a power in the human arm, a power in the eye. The ethers cause these powers to be, and thought of Elohim, of angel man, of other thinking things, direct the force. When it has done its work, the power is no more. Again, Lamas asked of understanding, what have you to say? And Jesus said, it is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the ought and of the naught, of falsehood and of truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self. Let me repeat that. It is the knowledge of the lower self, the sensing of the powers of man himself. So when Prophet Jesus in chapter 15 is going for his examination, and I'll read, it says, the harbinger had paved the way. The logos have been introduced to men as love made manifest, and he must now begin his divine ministry. And he went forth into the wilderness to be alone with Allah, that he might look into his inner heart and know its strength and worthiness. And with himself he talked. He said, my lower self is strong by many ties. I am bound down to carnal life. Have I the strength to overcome and give my life a willing sacrifice for men? When I shall stand before the face of men and they demand the proof of my messiahship, what will I say? And then the tempter came, and we can get into all of that, because in this, Prophet Jesus is having a battle with his lower self. You see, this is what the biblical story is about. There was no apparition, according to my teachings, that came. This was Prophet Jesus hungry, fighting his will to not eat for 40 days. So when he says his carnal self is bound down by many ties, and then we go back to chapter 7 where it is breaking down succinctly that the knowledge of your lower self is the sensing of your own powers. And what did Prophet Jesus do? According to my scriptures and according to the biblical text, he overcomes his lower self and goes 40 days and 40 nights without eating. Please, beloved, stop taking our scripture out of context. If we are to have an intellectual build, let's build intellectually, because I cannot take a man serious who will chop and screw somebody's teachings just to make themselves look good. That's just not how it's supposed to be, beloved. And, you know, just stop. And like I said, I'll come on your show and you can have your priests and teachers and leaders, and I'll run through the same thing. Now, you brought up the same information that we touched on earlier. So let me say, you talked about Yahweh commanding people not to plant groves. Genesis 21:33. Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there the name of God. So when Elihu and Salome is teaching Elizabeth and Mary while they're pregnant with Prophet Jesus and John the Harbinger in the sacred grove, and we have Genesis 21:33 explaining to us that Abraham himself planted a grove, for you to try to knock that because it's in my scripture is hypocritical. The same thing you brought up about the temple of the sun, I touched on that. In my text, it says, do not worship the sun. Adore the sun for what it does for us. Adore the sun for what it does for us, because, I mean, without the sun, nothing would be able to grow. We wouldn't be able to breathe, you know, the oxygen that the trees give off, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you said Prophet Jesus going into the sacred brotherhood. Well, did not Prophet Jesus become a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek? When you go into an order, you have to be initiated into that order. This is common knowledge right here. And I'll close out by, because I can't touch on everything that he said, but I sure listed it. I'm going to close out by saying that, like the brother Guerrilla Hebrew said, we got to come together. If the brother feels that what we have is a derivative of poison, I urge the brother to go back and look. Noble Drew Ali said these lessons were held back by the Muslims of the East. So when Blavatsky and Ledbetter and all of them Europeans came back from the East with those lessons that they got from Muslims, those lessons of self-help and self-empowerment that people like Napoleon Hill and all of these people use to help create billionaires by teaching them that to tap into the seed of infinite potential within themselves, that's not poison, beloved. That is the work of the Most High. And with that, I say peace and love to you all. Enjoy your holy day.
Yeah, once again, Lord Abba, I appreciate you for coming on the show, Debate Talk for You, and giving us a better understanding of the Moorish perspective. What I want you to do right now is, let the people know where they can find you as well. Social media information, YouTube channel, things of that nature for those who want to reach out to you. Go ahead, this is your time.
Okay, Islam. Honors, yes. My YouTube channel, Lord Abba 9, for my Hebrew Israelite brethren that feel that Ammon and Moab are Chinese and Japanese. I refute that claim. I have a video, the ancient Moabites, who are the Moors, historical proof. Just go check the video out. Lord Abba 9, you can find me on Facebook. Abba Lord, if for whatever reason it won't let me put Lord Abba, that's a part of my old 5% name. For those of you that say, oh, he's trying to get us to call him Abba. Abba is an Aramaic word. My website, www.moorishsciencetemple.org, where we textually break down what it is that we teach. We break down who are the true Moabites, Canaanites, who are the true Arabs. We break down what Moorish science is. We give you a brief on Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Our email, you can reach me at moorishsciencetemple@gmail.com or lordabba@gmail.com. Peace and love.